Hello friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my May 2026 Astrology Horoscope Forecast. This is going to be the last chance for a long time due to certain more rare planetary movements and a combination of several factors coming together. I'm going to outline a very detailed report for you all. This is one video with all of the specific signs time-stamped in one video this time, not 12 separate videos. Timestamps will be in the pinned comment underneath the YouTube video and in the notes underneath the video. If you're watching or listening to the podcast on my Buzzsprout site, you will see the timestamps there. Okay, so I'm going to blow through 8 reasons why I'm so jazzed up about this month and why we're having these special golden opportunities that are coming now. And then we'll get into the specifics for each sign. Okay, so the first thing is we only have sprinkles of eclipse news still coming in, possibly not even noticeable at this point. The new normal from the February, March eclipses really just faded into now we're kind of in a break from eclipse season. Eclipse season can be exciting in a wonderful way. It can be super stressful, but either way, it's really great to have the break. And we are in that break right now. So that's the first point to celebrate. And that's a golden opportunity to get some other things done where you're not all whacked out about the major trajectory shifts that occur during eclipse time. The second thing I'm so excited about for this month where golden opportunities will come is because we've got double the sweet aspects compared to the salty aspects. If you want to see all the sweet and salty aspects, just go in another browser window right now to anniehelpsyou.com and click on Unleash to get your free immediate written star report for May that will have all of the best and worst dates of the month, and you will see there the duplicated good ones. So that's an overriding layer of positivity this month and excitement. Okay, so now one of the biggest things, and this is the first and most major part of why I'm titling this month Last Chance for a long time and wanting to talk about how you capture the golden opportunities, is that we have all of the planets moving direct, even the star goddess asteroids that I often will pop in. So it's really rare when that happens. It's not actually going to happen again until like April, May of next year, 2027. Starting May 7th, Pluto will go retrograde, and that will sort of start the shift, but that's the only one. Everything else is going direct, and we will have this strong direct movement into June, but this first week of May, it's perfect. And then Pluto in retrograde is not really that big of a deal since Pluto rules the inner, the inner and the deep realms anyway, and he's super comfortable in retrograde. So direct stars mean that anything that you're trying to do can be much easier. I'm going to pull my tidal analogy in for everyone. If you're familiar with it, then you will know what I'm talking about. If you're new to it, this will help you understand. When the stars are going direct, and I usually use this analogy when I'm talking about the personal planets, Mars, Mercury, and Venus, going direct and not being in one of their shadow periods. But when we additionally, besides that, have the outer planets going direct, it puts you in a unique position compared to all the rest of the time to put your boats out afloat. If you're on the beach and the tides are coming in, you try to put something afloat, it comes back to you. And if you do make it out in your small boat, you have to paddle to go against the tides, to against the natural rhythms of the universe. But you don't have to do that this month. And to the contrary, anything that you put out will naturally be able to go further and wider. So your big decisions, your big contracts, your big events, your weddings, your engagements, your big sales, your big purchases, anything that you have to do with your money, your investments, you starting something brand new, launching a business, getting a new job, planning a move, anything that is brand new or that you've been wanting that is not exactly brand new, but that you've been wanting to move forward with, this month it's a golden opportunity. So just your awareness of this is actually one of the key ingredients to using this. Okay, so the tides are blasting out, very strong outward moving tides. Now, remembering that whenever you do something important, that date that you do it, the date, the time, the location, all of it forms a birth chart for that event, for that project. So when you birth things, when we've got direct stars like this, you take that energy into the life of the project. So it's really, really, really exciting. And that's why I'm saying that this month is your last chance for a long time. You will have some of this carry over into June. So when I say last chance, it's kind of May into June. But like I said, that first week of May, there's nothing retrograde. And then when Pluto starts the process of everything moving direct eventually, it's still not going to bother this very much. But it really is our last chance for a long time to capitalize on this mega direct movement, this mega clarity. Okay, so the next point, my point number 4, is that we have massive Aries energy. A lot of this is long-term Aries energy. Neptune and Saturn recently there, Eris there for, gosh, we'll just say forever. Chiron had been there for a long time, getting ready to change soon. And for a little bit longer this month, Mars and Mercury are in Aries. Aries is the baby of the zodiac. It's also the great initiator. It's the great mover forward. And impetus and inspiration and motivation and zest follow these energies. So if you've got all the planets moving direct and you've got all of this fiery energy, that is an amazing combination that creates these golden opportunities when all of these things are clicking into place for you to make progress in your life and to get unstuck. We also have, my next point, 5 out of 8, is strong Taurus energy for focus and productivity. Sometimes Aries energy on its own has a direction, but may not have as much energy to follow through or to have an eye for the long term. And Taurus is bringing that information and that energy in to the things that you make so they can be a little bit more directed, a little bit more focused on the long term. This time is great for short-term things too, and experiments and, things of no consequence. It's just generally smoother. It will be easier to make appointments without having to reschedule them 1,000 times like when we're in personal planet retrogrades. Everything is just much, much smoother and geared towards getting unstuck. So what we have to add to that, my point number 6, is Gemini sprinkles are bringing in variety, amazing conversations, social support, as some of these other planets move into Gemini, meeting Venus, which is already there. And of course, newly back in Gemini for a long time, Uranus, Saturn is there. That's another big deal. We're not going to get into that right now. But is adding this sort of this spark, this this interest, this variety seeking, this, looking at things from different angles. So all of those are conducive to making these important choices moving forward. Even though Gemini can be kind of indecisive sometimes, having the variety of things to choose from to see what you want to narrow in on, to use that Aries motivation to direct for these long-term building projects that Taurus energy is bringing. The next thing, my point number 7 that I'm really excited about, is that all of the outer planets except Jupiter, so Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto, are all in air and fire, which are mutually speaking a language that is harmonious, okay? And so when these planets speak this language, it's a little bit easier for us to get the lessons from the aspects. It's a little bit easier for us to use these archetypal energies in conjunction with each other. And Jupiter will be moving along into fellow fire sign soon. So we will have, an extended period of time where all of the outer planets are in this harmonious configuration. But that's another point that we have going this month, is that, there is a language that's being spoken by these outer planets, and it is in harmony with the other placements. And then the last very exciting thing is that we have a blue moon this month, May 31st. I'll get into the details of which moon and where it will light up for each sign when I get into the detailed horoscopes. But to close off my list for the golden opportunities this month and why we're having a last chance for a long time, some of these things are not going to come together. Well, actually, all of these things will not coalesce together at once for a very long time. And some of them never. Okay, so this is a major, major window. So I want to go into how you can capture all of these golden opportunities for each sign. And I'll give you some specific dates as well in the detailed reports. Okay, so remember that the timestamps are in the pinned comment underneath the YouTube video. They're also in the notes underneath the YouTube video, where you can click on more ... and then click on that again. Podcast listeners, if you're listening on Spotify, I don't know if my timestamps sync over, but you can go to Annie Botticelli Buzzsprout Astro Kisses, and you can see in the report for this report, my notes will be on that page. Or you can go over to YouTube and find the video and see the timestamps there, if they don't carry over, which hopefully they do. Okay, now before we switch to the sign-specific things, I want to give you just a little quick summary of the general ways that you can capture these golden opportunities, and then we'll go into specifics for each sign. 1 is to let the motivation move you to action. 2 is to let the Taurus energies help you be discerning with this Aries energy, which can be a little bit reckless. Keep your eye to the long term for the projects that you want to be long term, and keep an eye out for the outcomes of what you might use this rowdy Aries energy for, so that you can kind of have a mind to the future, not just making decisions for the now, because what you do now may carry out for a longer time than you think. Think variety. Think options, but then think discernment. Okay, so we want to use the Gemini energy to open up possibilities and taking that social support, those interactions with other people, the inspiring conversations, and then moving into active form. This month, you are the spider. Okay, actively weaving. Oh, I guess he has 8. There we go. Actively weaving your webs, that when we get into the very long retrograde season, when I say very long, I really mean it, because we do have this window that's happening now. It will shift in June, and then we only have one more period of time for the whole rest of the year. That's very short, where we don't have personal planet retrogrades or their shadow periods. So a lot of this year, and even into next year, is going to be full of opportunities to have your webs already made in May, so that your webs can capture food for you in the times when you are going more inward and backward during those retrogrades. Okay, so this is a big planning time for your future, to get as many, nets ready for catching things, and, baskets ready for gathering fruit and preserving things, because things will be, and it's not that it's necessarily a bad thing, it's just different. So trying to push things forward, trying to make things happen, trying to see with clarity the next steps or the longer term game is going to get a little more hard, a little more difficult after this period of time. So if you think with the eye of the spider now, building your webs, repairing the webs, getting everything all ready for action, then your sustenance will be easier to come in the times where you don't have as much forward moving energy for, a while. And this will be your last chance, for a while, which is the point of this, this theme that I've mentioned here. Okay, so the last point I'm going to make is to let this Aries energy inspire you to take important actions that are productive, here combined with the Taurus. Aries energy can be warlike. It's ruled by Mars, which is a god of war. And it can be rowdy, and it can be unproductive in the name of feeling productive, because it's taking action, but it's not necessarily going anywhere. So for this period of time, one of the best ways to capture the golden opportunities is to combine that rowdy energy with some sort of plan, and put your power behind those plans that are a little more strategic, that are, more positive, more inspired, more productive, and to not get caught up with any negative or argumentative energy, instead to move it into positive productivity. Oh, and one more point for the time stamping. Listen for your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, and any other placement that you want to watch for. You can listen to the segment, and they will each have a piece of your personal astrological picture. And if you're in the last week or so of your sign, like towards the end of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to the sign afterwards, which in this format of timestamps is so much easier, because it just follows the report that you're listening to for your regular sign. If you're watching for rising or another placement besides the sun, the last 7 or so degrees of the sign. So if your placement that you're watching for is 23 degrees through the end of the sign, then also listen to the sign afterwards for that placement, as you will get more insights for you late degree placements by listening to both reports. Hello, Aries friends. Okay, so this is your segment, and somehow this is still partly your month because of the long-term Aries placements that we have. It's going to be like that for a very long time, where regardless of what else is going on with the faster moving planets, the ones that breeze through signs, there's this massive Aries presence that's going to be around for a really long time. All right, so we're going to talk about the May golden opportunities, how to take this advantage of the last chance in a long time of this forward moving energy, which Aries loves more than anybody else in the zodiac. We're going to talk about the moon dates. We've got 3 of those, and we're going to get into all those details. Okay, so right now in another window, go to anniehelpsyou.com and click on Unleash to grab my written star report for May, because we have double the sweet aspects compared to salty, but we still have 5 points to kind of look out for. More stuff than I can cover in this report. So this is a great adjunct to this, and you can get your immediate access to the written version of the general principles of some of the things I'm talking about, and then other things that I'm not going to discuss. Okay, so go to anniehelpsyou.com, do that right now. And you are a multitasker and you like to be in different browser windows while you're listening, go to anniebclarity.com to get my personalized video report of the outer planet transits, these long-term ones, to see where they're showing up in your chart. And if you want to learn astrology, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. Thank you for letting me take a moment to talk about a couple of my paid offerings, because I spent a massive amount of time doing free things, and whenever anyone makes a purchase there, it supports my work and me being able to continue doing this. So thank you for that. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of all this story. Back to the basics here. Neptune, Saturn, Mars, Eris, Mercury, and Chiron all in Aries, lighting up the first house of Aries. Very important medical health thing to note from this. I know I have been talking a lot about watching your gallbladder, watching fatty foods. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not trying to prescribe, diagnose, or treat. But when we have a lot of Aries energy, it can flare up parts of the body that Aries rules, which Aries already has under duress, okay? So being mindful of these parts of your body when you have such a long-term energetic can really be health sparing. Something that I haven't mentioned as much that I would like to is that Aries also rules the neurological system and the head. So if you have head symptoms, headaches, things that seem like they could just be annoying or benign, it would be really good to keep track of this, because there's just so much energy in Aries. This is long term, but there's extra energy this month. And this is a great month for health diagnostics. This is also an amazing month to make headway on your health goals and your fitness. This is a super huge fitness month. So if you're trying to lose weight or get buff or make progress on your image, whether it's physical or your online image, how people see you and how you see yourself is very much put into the focus. Those are golden opportunities that are happening right now for Aries. All right, so Aries is the spark. And as Taurus gets to be more prominent, we start out the month with the sun in Taurus. Ceres is there. Mercury moves into Taurus early in. Mars gets there mid-month around the 19th. And then the Taurus party really begins. And what does it mean? Taurus is the builder. There are very few times that are better than right now. This is one of those last chance for a while golden opportunity things that we've got a massive amount of Taurus energy, of course, lighting up the second house of Taurus for Aries, because everything is doubly impacted for us, having a natural chart as we do. But this idea of building something is really prominent from the perspective of building a foundation or making headway on going higher with your building, okay? Because of these direct planets and not having the nuisance of the eclipse season stresses, all of these things are making us better be able to utilize the Taurus season, because it's not just the energy of Taurus building, it's building things for the long-term stability, better relationship with money, better budgets, earning more money, being more efficient with your money. And a very big thing this month to look out for is your values. What you have set up in your life may not be consistent with where you're spending your time and resources. And so doing an evaluation check at this time is going to be super important, because if you find that you need to make a big change, you're not going to get better stars than these for that, okay? Not to say that you can't make a big change, at any time moving forward until we get to stars like this again. Of course you can. Any time is a great time to make positive change in your life. But if you've been really stuck, if you need oomph, you need momentum, and it's a titanic effort or a thing that you're trying to create, you may want to take advantage of these combinations of energies that are golden this month. Okay, so something else besides the Taurus energies that I just mentioned, the Sun, Ceres, Mercury, and Mars, we're also going to have the new moon on May 16th at 26 degrees of Taurus. New chances to plant seeds, starting new buildings. This is a maker's time as well. Taurus energy is a time when people make things with their hands, when they build things, when they, do something active and productive with their physical capacity. And so if you're in that, starting something new at this time is really beneficial, and advancing along the lines of things you've done before are very beneficial. And doing a major rehaul of your finances, your material experience, or doing something important with a material item, something of value, cars, boats, houses, property, those kind of things are very much in the forefront as well. Okay, so at the beginning of the month, May 1st, we've got a full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio. This is going to launch the month into a highly emotional energetic that's not going to stay for the whole rest of the month, because Aries is emotional, can sometimes get angry, right? Or excitable, which is one of the reasons why I'm so excitable, is because I have Aries rising. I get worked up about things and I express them enthusiastically because I have a lot of fire. And Aries is my lens that I look at everything through. But it's not terrifically emotional in other ways. And Taurus is more restrained emotionally. And Gemini is more blasé, which is our other energetic this month. Venus is there. Mercury will get there on May 19th. Of course, the Sun will also get there May 22nd. In this energetic of Gemini, which is more laid back. It's blasé. It's just sort of So these three representations that are dominating this time are not super emotional. But what we launch into this month with is super emotional. Full moon already. Energy at the height of, or emotions at the height of flowing. We get this elucidation, this coming to an awareness, this information coming out, something hidden being brought to the surface. In the sign of Scorpio, which is also for Aries, the house of Scorpio. This is going to highlight some pretty deep things. Financial entanglements, financial collaborations, anything having to do with money, loans, taxes, credit cards, money that you get from grants, legacy stuff, wills. Oh, by the way, this is an amazing time to put wills together, to make decisions for legacy, because when we talk about what we want to be in place long term, a will or a trust or a legacy thing is one of those things that you would really like to have those tides going out. Again, not to say you can't do this any time of the year that your intuition tells you, or when the opportunity presents. You can do any of these things any time of the year, and there will be support in different ways. But the longevity And the clarity about creating something from the perspective of legacy is going to be super highlighted in the first days of this month. You may find you have insomnia. Your dream time may be accentuated, and the emotions are going to run high. There could be conflicts with people in your deep emotional relationships. These are romantic, intimate, or like deeply wound, like your family. So if there's something that needs to be cleared out, this moon may do it. Some of it might not feel good on the onset, but eventually, it's going to be better from the fact that it needed to come out. And it could just be that you have an awesome time with someone close to you and shared memories, but it's very much about how you use your power and how other people use their power. So you will be feeling that very strongly and have those opportunities at the beginning of the month. At the end of the month, May 31st, we've got a blue moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. There are multiple different definitions of what can make a blue moon, and they all are blue moons. The one that's active this month is the second full moon in a calendar month, which is, of course, we've got the full moon on the 1st, and then we have this full moon on the 31st. So this is in Sagittarius. This is fullness, completion, fruition, drama, elucidation in the days at the end of the month, coming to teaching, learning, international business or interactions, languages, writing, publishing, speaking. So something with your education may get set off here. Something, involving immigration, something involving a writing project, or something just involving your greater view on things, your perspective, the way that you see the world can have a radical shift at this time. So this is going to be very notable. And since it's a blue moon, it does carry extra weight, so you can use this for active creation. If you're trying to launch content, if you're trying to launch a book, if you're trying to make a publishing venture, if you're trying to make a commitment for doing something with your education, this blue full moon at the end of the month is awesome for that because it will carry that energy of Sagittarius along with it, and the full moon can push things along and bring things out from deep, that you need for impetus. Not that you need a super amount of impetus this month, but this is a catalyst. Okay, so Jupiter is moving through the 4th house for a little while longer, only a little bit. July 1st is when Jupiter will move into fellow fire sign for us, Leo, kicking off a series of amazing opportunities for a whole year from July of 2026 into July of 2027 for Aries. But before it gets there, we've got a little more work to do in our home and family and housing, and having all of these other factors that I've talked about so far can really give support to winding some things up. Emotional help for your family members or for yourself. Emotional healing for you and your family. Correcting patterns that may have been in place for many generations. Expansion to your home. Trying to add an addition, make a purchase, move. This energy is the best you will find this whole year. And it really could move things along very quickly. So we have all of that going on. And that could be a little bit emotional. That's in a fellow water sign too. So the golden opportunity here is to use these direct stars to get more clarity about your home, your housing, land, your inner space, your inner world, and take the necessary actions to make the improvements that need to be all situated so that by the time Jupiter moves along and leaves this once in a 12-year placement in Cancer, that you will have used it for some major foundational healing. It has been a little tough for Aries over the last year, since the middle of 2025 until now, because Jupiter doesn't go at a good angle for Aries. I mean, everything winds up being good in a lot of ways because, we learn or something else. But when I say good in this case, I mean it's stressful. And the progress we've made has been a little bit heart-wrenching in some ways, and we may have had to say goodbye to some different housing or home situations. Even though it's expanding our home and family, it may have put a little water on your Aries fire. We'll just put it that way. And that's not for that much longer. You may already start feeling the movement of Jupiter into Leo simultaneously, because I notice that up to 3 months or so before it gets to another place where it's about to go, we start to feel that. So you're going to feel things involving children, creativity, your passion projects, come alive, and that you can use this period of time to start to implement some of those things that move in the direction you'll be going for the next year. Okay, so if you haven't already, go in another browser to anniehelpsyou.com, click on Unleash. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much from me, but you will get a written star report for May, and you will get mini astrology lessons and all kinds of other things. If you want to see what these outer planet changes, we've had the outer planets all change recently, and what that is in your part. And remember, all of the stuff I make is made by B. It's not AI. My products are all made by me. If you are interested in that still, go to anniebclarity.com, Annie the letter B clarity.com, if you want my take on what these long-term themes of these slow-moving planets are doing in your chart. And if you want to learn astrology, I do believe there will always be a place for humans in the astrological world, because the depth that we get into when we look at someone's chart, you can see years, sometimes lifetimes of information in a moment when you look at a chart, and that connection that you make with people when you are able to help them this way is irreplaceable by AI. And if you want that, I can show you how. So go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. And I also have a massive promo that is going on now where you get $2,500 worth of free promos when you sign up for my course, which is actually much less than the amount of promos that you get. I mean, the cost for the course is a lot less than the value of the promos that you get. So you can check that out at beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and check out my astrology certification course. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye for now. Hello, Taurus friends. Welcome to the segment just for you. We're going to talk about what I talked about in the intro. If you haven't listened to that already, definitely go back to the beginning, listen to it. It's very short for the amount of details that go in, because that's the foundation on which we're going to discuss the Taurus-specific opportunities from the bigger picture, things that I listed there. Now, if you haven't already, go in another browser window right now to anniehelpsyou.com, click on Unleash, and you will get the sweet and salty report, my written report that will give you all of the best dates this month and all of the challenged points, so that you can have that in conjunction with what I'm doing here, so you'll be really well prepared. But I will give you some dates in this recording as well. All right, so let's talk about this last chance for these major moving forward opportunities, this window of golden opportunity with the combination of those Aries impetus forces, the Taurus productivity and discernment forces, and the Gemini openness and creative solution sources, and see what this looks like for the Taurus chart. Okay, so all of that Aries energy, Neptune, Saturn, Mars, Aries, Mercury, and Chiron, is all bringing inner impetus, because it's in a water house of your deep subconscious mind. This is one of the best months, besides the fact that you're going to have your birthdays for many of you, right? If you're watching for your sun sign. This is an amazing time of renewal and rebirth, but it's also an amazing time to clear the decks in your unconscious space from patterns you've been holding on to for a long time. For the next few years, with Saturn moving through this place for you, you have an opportunity to develop a relationship with your unconscious space that is organized, systematic, and not fraught with worry and overriding your intuition and, constant mental swirling. So if that is exciting to you, one of your golden opportunities is going to be to do inner work at this time. Mars, bringing the impetus in its own sign, Aries, is making things a little rumpy and bumpy in your head space, in your emotions. Your mental wellness may be a huge topic at this point. You may need to get support. There are so many different things that you can do, so many apps, so many ways you can interact with people individually for psychological support, emotional, mental wellness. But this is a time when you've got a lot of windows of opportunity to do something very causal in this area of your life. Some of your golden opportunities as a Taurus this month, from all the things that we discussed before, are actually going to manifest in your dream time. Intuitions, showing some patterns that come up, that really have been holding you back for a long time. You also may have some opportunities to connect with the ethereal realm. Guides, angels, people who have crossed over. If you've been trying to have that dream with someone who's passed and it hasn't come in yet, this could be a period of time when that happens. You can use the power of your subconscious mind to ask questions before you go to bed in that 5 to 10 minutes before you fall asleep. That is, those 5 to 10 minutes before you go to sleep and when you wake up are some of the most powerful times in the whole day and night for accessing the gold of that deep internal space. And you can utilize that space to help you get information on some decisions you have to make. You can utilize that space to help you get clear on if certain things that you've been feeling are real, intuitive nudges, and can give you clarity about, again, the patterns that you need to move through to move forward. Now, as the month progresses, we're going to have Mars and Mercury move into your sign. All right, so this is very much a Taurus month for Taurus. We've got in the days around, let's see, May 4th through May 18th, Mercury is very rowdy, moving through Taurus very quickly, but they're nonetheless joining the Sun and Ceres there. We also have Mars for a longer time joining the Taurus party in the days around May 19th or 20th, and you'll have that transit there until the very end of June. So Mars rules impetus, as we see from all the Aries energy. There won't be short of impetus or inspiration this month. But what Taurus does is it makes discerning choices from all of the things the opportunities that can happen from all the Gemini options and the rowdy Aries potential of wanting to do something. The Taurus energy helps you to do the right thing with those energies, the right thing out of those choices. And this floods the first house of Taurus. So you're getting 2 layers of Aries energy, one through the planets moving through the signs and the other through the Taurus placements moving through the Aries ruled first house. And this is going to be very much pertaining to your physical body. A couple of things to look out for, especially at this time for your wellness, have to do with the neurological space. The neurological space is ruled by Aries. And if you've had headaches or confusion, mental confusion, or something, related to your brain, this could be an amazing time to get answers. Having these clear moving forward stars is giving a golden opportunity to get some clarity around medical or wellness things or symptoms that you've been having for a long time. The 12th house is flooded for, no pun intended since Pisces is a water sign, but the 12th house is flooded by Aries energy for Taurus, and this rules the feet. So if you have issues with your feet, this is another time where this might be called to attention to focus on symptoms. If you do have something like plantar fasciitis, I am not diagnosing, treating, or prescribing. I'm just sharing an experience that I had healing from plantar fasciitis twice. Someone told me, a yogini told me, to do the standing mountain pose. And even when, you can look that up, but even doing just the part of the standing mountain pose that you do with your feet, which is kind of like stretching all of your toes into webbing, like a webbed foot, when you're sitting at your desk, that strengthens the tendons and cartilage in your ankles and feet that can sometimes clear up plantar fasciitis. And just doing that, I actually did that for myself. So those kind of things, your wellness, your health, things involving the thyroid, checks that you get at the doctor. This is a really good time to get to the bottom of this and to be proactive for your health for the future. Taurus energy builds, and with all the planets direct, you're having a time of building. So you're asking the questions, what is it you want to build? And what do you want to use these outgoing tides to commit to for these long-term gains? Now, as the planets move into Gemini, the sun will get there around the 21st. Venus is already there. Mercury is going to get there around the 19th. And that's going to flood your second house of Taurus. So again, the Taurus energies are not just becoming present from the signs, the planets moving through the sign of Taurus, but also because as the planets move into Gemini, they light up the second house of Taurus for Taurus, okay? So you've got a little double duty here in the Taurus department. Questions like financial solvency, what your priorities are in life, and is your current schedule, the way you work, the way you use your time and other resources, in line with your priorities in life? Do you have to do more budgeting? Do you have to figure out how to earn more money, or make some big decisions involving your bigger purchases or your bigger assets? Those kind of questions are coming up now, and those are ways to use these golden opportunity aspects for Taurus in this specific house. It's a big money house and a big money time. Jupiter for a couple more months until July 1st is in Cancer, the sign of home and family and housing. And you're going to have some double duty from that energy, because from the middle of 2025 until the middle of 2026, it was moving through the sign of home and family. So you've had expansion to your home, expansion to your family. Maybe more people have come in through in-laws. Maybe you've gotten more freedom in your housing. Maybe you're free from a big mortgage because you've downsized, or maybe you have more freedom of space because you move into a bigger place. But this has been a big theme happening for a while, and you're going to actually get an extra year of it than other people do, other signs, because once it leaves the sign of Cancer, it moves into the house of Leo, or house of Cancer, and the sign of Leo. So Taurus's fourth house of Cancer is ruled by Leo, which is why you get an extra year of the Jupiter and Cancer energy. All right, so there's, if you're doing real estate deals, if you're trying to get into working from home, or things related to work for people's psyche or their inner world, you have a whole other year of extra support for that. And in the meantime, Jupiter is helping you with your writing, with your speaking, with interactions with your siblings and aunts and uncles. And this is one of the best months of the whole year to get a new car, or to get a new device, or upgrade your computer, or do something with your technological devices used for communication or transportation. So let's breeze through a list of important dates this month. We start out the month with a full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio, May 1st. This is going to highlight a relationship sign of Scorpio and a relationship house, Libra, which is what rules the 7th house for Taurus. This is happening in your opposite sign. So Taurus and Scorpio are opposing forces that also can be complementary. So this is going to activate your me versus we sector. Something important comes to light in a relationship space, especially involving money at that time. In the days around May 16th, you get your new moon. Okay, so that's a special time for seed planting, for vision boards. 26-degree new moon in Taurus is adding to the Taurus party. And then we have a very special blue moon, full moon at 10 degrees of Sag, highlighting your 8th house of Scorpio, which was highlighted at the beginning of the month. So the very beginning and the very end of the month may carry a little more emotion than the rest of the month, because the water placements, conjure that sort of energy. So especially at the beginning and the end of the month, big topics of money, debt, legacy. If you have to put together a will, this is one of the best months possible, and there's extra good energy at the beginning and the end of the month. Trusts, legal documents for, talk about wanting something to echo into time. Doing something with a will or a trust carries that type of energy I'm talking about, of this monumental forward-moving energy. It's the kind of thing you want to be, solidly in place for a long time. So you may be having those discussions, financial discussions, emotional discussions, intimacy, how you use your power and how other people use your power, are all coming up at those beginning and end of the month times. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart, and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to anniebclarity.com, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Gemini friends. Okay, so now we're going to take the information that I talked about in the intro. If you haven't listened to that already, go give a quick listen because everything that I'm going to go into now will have that as a foundation. So let's look at where in the chart some of these special opportunities are going to come up for Gemini. All right, so we talked about, let's see. Okay, actually real quick before we go there, make sure you go to anniehelpsyou.com now and click on Unleash to get your free May star report that will supplement what we're going to discuss here. All right, so this Aries stellium is exceptionally powerful for action, impetus, and inspiration. It's crowding, you can't tell exactly there, but here, it's crowding the 11th house for Gemini. So some of these special opportunities are going to come in your house of friendships, groups, teams, your tribe, people that speak your language on some sort of topic that's important to you. Networking opportunities, massive this month. Internet-based opportunities, futuristic types of devices or anything with an eye to tech. Very huge opportunities for Gemini at this time, as are this feeling that you're part of something bigger and that you're contributing to the group, right? So this is an amazing time to get help from other people, to feel like you're on track through working with other people, and to propel your life forward in some way with an eye to the future. The next set of opportunities this month are going to come from the Taurus placement. So mid-month, Mars will join the Sun and Ceres. Pretty early in the month, Mercury will join all of this energy in Taurus. We've got May 16th, the new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus, and all of that energy floods your 12th house of your unconscious mind. Geminis are known for having some unruly thoughts, right? Getting distracted sometimes. And you have a wonderful opportunity this month to make a little bit of sense of the madness in there. Committing to a meditation, committing to awareness processes that help you to stop the spiral movement of your brain. Gemini energy goes in an upward spiral. So you will find that physically your body moves in the spiral. You're here, you're there, figuratively, you're all over the place, variety seeking. That's a typical Gemini type of thing. And if this also extends to your mind, where you get really whacked out because you're all over the place, all of this Taurus energy now can really help to shift that and to just get a grounding cord. This is a building energy, so you're building and you're planting the seeds to build some structure in the attic of your being, and possibly even to go through some literal attics, like through your family or your house, clearing out literal and figurative sort of attics of your being to get some organization into your life and to very possibly find gold there. You may find something of great emotional or financial importance through these areas of focus now. Then as the month progresses, the Sun around the 21st and Mercury around the 18th will get into Gemini. And that's all about you, right? So as the month progresses, we're going to get towards your birthdays for those of you who are May born. Oh, and by the way, this report is for you if Gemini is your sun sign, your moon sign, rising sign, or any other placement you're listening for. So what we're talking about here is part of your astrological picture. If you're a late degree Gemini friend, so birthdays like June 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23-degree placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Cancer report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. In this version of my horoscopes, where it's all in one video timestamp, this is much easier for you because the Cancer report will come right after here. Sorry, that was just an aside I forgot to mention before. Okay, so back to this Gemini energy. When it's birthday time or when the sun crosses over the Gemini placement that you have, this is a rebirth, and it's a really wonderful time to have this rebirth energy when we have all of these clear stars and sweet aspects. So that's going to give you a lot of opportunities to reinvent yourself. New hairstyles, new ways of being, things that you're doing that you want to be known for. If you're trying to introduce that, like let's say you want your artistic side to come out, then, having your art launch and now you're known for that. Or let's say you have, another side of you that people don't know, or something that you've been developing that you want to bring out. This is a really great launch party for your being. Anything that you really want to share is very supported. And since Gemini rules writing and editing and the sharing of information and the taking in of information through learning as well, you may have opportunities to teach or to learn at this time. And it would be great for you to launch something important at this time. Make a decision to do a certain school program. If you can enroll now, this could be a good month to do that. If you have to start applications now, it would be a good month to do that. If you're trying to launch content or write a book or publish a book, this month is excellent. And at AnnieHelpsYou.com, when you click on Unleash and get that May star report, I do give you all the sweet dates. There are 11 of them. So you can use that to kind of cross-reference if you want to have extra good energy on the launch dates. But really the whole month, even in absence of that, the whole month is full of this sweet sort of launch type of energy. Okay, so there may be some confusion or vacillation in love or money. Venus in Gemini may bring that. Or you may have a lot of options in your love life, or a lot of options on how to make money. Different sources of income may come in at this time. If you are on the dating scene, this could be very, very busy for you. So just take note of that. Something else that's going on is Jupiter only has 2 more months in your second house. Now, those of you, this is the whole house, but in the Placidus chart, for those of you who are June born, you'll have longer. The later you are in the sign, the longer you'll kind of drip some of this expansion in your finances from Jupiter out. But on some level, when it changes signs into Leo, there will be a shift into a different area of focus, which will be very much about the things I just mentioned involving Gemini, because it will then move to your 3rd house of Gemini. So some of these things that are aspected in the short term here are going to kick into a long-term story of publishing and writing and learning and teaching. So this could be your launch pad, and then you have all of this energy for the whole other year, from the middle of 2026 to the middle of 2027, to continue working with those writing and speaking projects and education and taking information in and putting information out. This month overall, obviously we're humans, we're sentient beings, we always have the range of emotions. But from the elemental perspective of the planetary placements this month, there's not a ton of water. We only have a lot of water concentrated at the beginning of the month, May 1st, the full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Now for Gemini placements, that's in your 6th house of your daily routine, your pets, your animals, your wellness, your things that you do every day or people you see every day, your office dynamics, the structures that are holding up chaos in your life, or organizing chaos or lack thereof. Those things will kind of come to the surface, as will Scorpio related things. Wills, legacies, estate, deep intimate relationships, financial relationships. So right at the beginning of the month, there is this point of a lot of kind of watery emotion that is not the keynote of the month, but it's going to start out that way. It could be a very good time to put something permanent into place with your money, investments, making big purchases, things involving family money, spousal money, and things like that. So you'll have an eye to those kind of things starting the month. From the wellness perspective, all this Aries energy rules neurological systems, and also the head and brain in general, and things in your face, like your eyes and nose and mouth, and sort of, the things in your head. And so it's an amazing time, coupled here with this 6th house of health, to do those tests, to check in about, wellness, to commit to plans that help with problems you're having, to get symptoms checked out. It may be easier to get clarity about something that's been going on with you medically with these clear stars, with these direct stars, and with this emphasis on the 6th house, especially in the earlier part of the month, but the whole month is really good for these investigations. The Taurus energies focus on the thyroid and the throat, and the Gemini energies focus on the hands, the wrists, and your respiratory tract, and the lungs, and the whole respiratory tract, really. So from the wellness perspective, there are some really great opportunities to hone in on those body systems and your health in general this month. So the blue moon is going to be occurring, which is very exciting. There are many different definitions of a blue moon. The one we're using here is the 2nd full moon in a calendar month. Since we have that full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees on May 1st, this full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius is on May 31st. So this is a really big time for all things Sagittarius, which we'll get into in a second, but specifically for Gemini. This is fullness, completion, fruition, drama, elucidation, opportunities coming in your 7th house of relationships, clients, friends, romantic partner, children, neighbors, anybody you're in relationship with can have some sort of prominent thing that occurs here. And if you're wanting to work with someone or collaborate with someone, this may be a new beginning for whatever it is you want to work on. And it will have a tilt towards these Sagittarius themes. Publishing, writing, speaking, some of the same things I talked about with Gemini, because Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing energetics. And they are also complementary. They're part of the polarity. The pair is basically the duality that's intrinsic in the human experience shows up in the chart. And we have the 12 signs. We have 6 pairs of the signs. So Gemini and Sag are like a team. Sometimes they can go a little against each other, going in different directions. Sometimes they work in perfect harmony. They are in the air and fire is a couplet of elemental synastry. And this is activating the me versus we sector. The 1st house versus the 7th house is your life, your body, your decisions, your path, and the people who you are in connection with. So that's going to be a theme that comes up at this time. And so also some of the rulership areas of Gemini are kind of taken to a more expanded level in Sagittarius. So the writing project can be taken globally with the Sag, right? The Gemini writing project, the daily writing of it can be taken globally with Sag. The, writing of something with the Gemini energy can be translated into different languages or to an international audience with Sag. The taking in of information or the creation of course content can be brought out on a bigger level with the Sag energy. So there is this story of you taking information in and putting information out through education. So there may be something big you're launching. So if you have to publish a book, or if you want to launch content, or if you want to take a course, here's another touch point at the end of the month with this full moon that can really be an epic start to something very important. So those opportunities, those golden moments that we might not get around for a long time to come are coming in those sectors of life for Gemini. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie, the letter B, Clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Cancer friends. Okay, so now that I've established a great foundation for us to soar with our Cancer-specific readings, if you haven't already listened to the intro of this video, then definitely go back and do that because I will refer to those things, and those will be things that I'm sort of building on now. Okay, if you have not already, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com in a different browser window and click on Unleash, and that will get you May's star report for free, and that will give you all the 11 sweet dates of the month, the 5 to watch out for, and some that could go either way, plus some of the other dates that I'm going to talk about here will be there in written form. Okay, so we're going to do a Cancer deep dive. There's 2 points that I want to make first, and thank you so much for bearing with me as I do this. Most of the work I do in the world is free, and the vast majority of time that I spend doing work is for free things, but there are a couple of paid services that I have, and whenever those are purchased, that helps me to continue doing this work for free. All of the things that I create are made by me and not AI, so if you are in support of human-made things, then you will love all of the stuff that I do. We have changed outer planets recently. Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, and in a couple months, Jupiter. If you want to see where those changes are showing up in your personal chart with a video report package from me, go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie the letter B, Clarity.com. If you want to learn astrology to make that deep, intimate connection with someone as you help guide them in their lives, AI cannot replace this connection, and I'm so happy to teach you how to do this. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com to see my astrology certification course and get $2,500 worth of promos at this time. The course doesn't even cost as much as the promos you get will be. So you can check that out at beastropro.com if you want to learn astrology and help others. All right, so let's do our deep dive into this Cancer view of the cosmos in May. All of this Aries energy is stirring the pot for Cancer. We've got Neptune, Saturn, Mars until the middle of the month, Aries for a long time, Mercury for the first few days of the month, and Chiron, all coalescing in your 10th house of work, career, employment, father figures, sometimes parental figures, leadership, your place out in the world, whether it's paid or not. This can be volunteer services. This can be public service. For those of you who are retired or don't work, this is, how you are out in the world, how you were brought up, your authority figures that brought you up, the viewpoints that you have, your connections with authority figures, and you as an authority figure. All of this energy in the short term and the long term is stirring inspiration into your watery pot. This is fire that's coming and bringing it to a boil, making a square with Cancer energy. So there are some pressure points in your place out in the world that need to be addressed. If you need to make a big sweeping change in your life out in the world with your work or your place out in the world for other reasons, this could be the perfect month for that, because you've got the ambition, you've got the Taurus direction and discipline, you've got options stirring in from the Gemini placements and sort of looking at things from different angles. And we've got the great forward moving stars, we got the blue moon, we've got, all the things that I talked about in the intro are happening at this time. So be prepared to take action. Be prepared to possibly have some Aries conflicts in those arenas of life that you can then use to be the catalyst to make those big changes. If you want to launch a business, one of the best months of the whole year, absolutely, hands down. And if you want to go further in the work that you already have, or have a passion project that's not related to work, all of this is really great. You're birthing something. That's what we always have to remember with a square. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It doesn't have to be, difficult even. There's usually some kind of growing pain or pressure that builds up before the release of the creation. Okay, so you are going to feel that. Then as the month progresses, as I said early on, Mercury will get there, middle month Mars will get there, joining the Sun and Ceres, and that new moon on May 16th, all in Taurus. And this is activating your house of networking, of groups, of teams, of friendships, and also your big dreams that you have, not the ones that you have at night, although those are aspected this month too, but the big dreams that you might be afraid to talk about. Those kind of things are coming up from this 11th house focus for Taurus. That's where Taurus placements fall for Cancer. This is helping you become part of something or feel like you're part of something greater. This is helping you unite with others for some shared common cause or mission. And this can also be about your business online. This can be about your place in the community. There's going to be a lot more expansion of community-based projects as AI takes over so many of the places that we got to be intimate with others, where we talked to them and shared with them. A lot of that human need that we have for connection can be replaced or placed into the community and community connections, friendships, and groups. So you'll see a strong showing of that this month. And and it might be time to do some building there. If you don't have that level of experience that you want in your life, these Taurus energies can help you to build, and the Aries energies can give you the oomph, the zest, the passion, the drive to actually do something about this. As the month goes on, around May 22nd, the Sun will join Venus and Sedna and Uranus, which are both long-term planets or placements, in Gemini, bringing these options, this variety seeking, this, experimental type of energy. Because Venus is in Gemini, you may find some options in love, some options with money, sort of some vacillations between some things, and you may be using the Taurus energy to help you discern through these options. Specifically for Cancer, this lights up your 12th house of your unconscious and subconscious mind, accessing those resources that we have of the cosmic collective, the cosmic consciousness in your being. Angels, guides, ethereal experiences, synchronicities, spiritual progress, psychological breakthroughs, all of these are increased in possibility for Cancers at this time, with this area of the chart being worked through. Cancer has just 2 more months left of Jupiter moving through your sign. This happens for 1 month every 12-month cycle. And although I'm a fan in many ways of Jupiter, it being my ruling planet as a Sagittarius, it being the bringer of good luck and it's called the great benefic, benevolent types of energies, and expansion and growth, it definitely can cause trouble. Depending on the angle, depending on what's going on with it, it can make something worse as a process to try to make something better. So you've been experiencing this from around June of 2025, and you've got a couple more months to kind of seal off what it's working on, which is stuff with your home, family, and housing. So to see what kind of things you need to do to get freedom there. For some people, freedom within housing is downsizing because you have less overhead. For some people, freedom in housing is you upgrade because you have more room, or you move to a city because that feels more expanded for you, or you move to the country because the open air feels better. Your sense of freedom within home and family is what's happening. And this is a really great time to make a move or to do something important with that. For Cancer, Jupiter moves through the first house when it's in the sign of Cancer, and this has to do with expanding your sense of self through self-esteem, through your connection to your body, through healing birth wounds or birth trauma, and for finding out the self of you within you that wants to come out. Maybe you have something in there that wants to be prominent, and this could be the time to announce to the world that this is what you're working on. It's a really great time to unveil something of great importance for the long term. In the days around May 1st, we do start out the month with quite a bit of emotional energy, but it's all in a great angle for Cancer. It lights up your 5th house of Leo, which is where Jupiter's going next, is into Leo. And by the way, before I get off the Jupiter topic, Jupiter will move into Leo in July, but I often see 3 months before Jupiter makes a move that we start to feel the effects in the sign and in the house it's going in the chart. So you're going to have a year of growth with your finances, income, and your material things. So, and your connection with the earth, if that's where you focus some of your earthly energy. So you may have started to see this already, kind of some inkling that something's changing in your material space. And that Leo energy has to do with passions and your children and creativity and romance and true love, your bucket list projects, your creative expression. So you'll get an extra boost of that for a year starting soon. You may be feeling it now, and you get a little extra concentration of it right at the beginning of May with that full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio as it lights up the Cancer 5th house of Leo. You also may see fullness, completion, fruition, drama, elucidation coming to your deep intimate relationships, your Scorpio-based relationships of intimacy, romantic connections, finances, financial enmeshment, energetic enmeshment, those complicated, deep relationships. If you have to do a will or a trust or something permanent contractually, this could be the time because the stars are direct and clear, and this moon may point your attention to those things, your deep resources and your legacies. Okay, so then at the end of the month, in the days around May 31st, we have the blue full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. So the second full moon in a sign or in a calendar month is considered a blue moon. There's another definition which we won't get into as well, but that's the definition we're using here because May 1st is the full moon in Scorpio, May 31st is the full moon in Sag. That makes it a blue moon. And for you, that will bring fullness, completion, fruition, drama to your daily experience, your work, your, what you do every day, your health, your wellness, your pets, your animals, something becoming elucidated. If for your own health or a pet's health or your children's health, there's something that's been going on symptom-wise, this month can be very helpful in trying to get to the bottom of what's happening because of the sweet aspects, the clear stars, and specifically for Cancer, this focus on the 6th house with this blue moon. So all month you have these potentials, but at the end of the month, there's some specific focus around your health and healing. And of course, fullness, completion, fruition, drama can come to all things Sagittarius, since that's what sign the moon is in. So publishing projects, maybe you're launching a book, maybe you're starting a course of study or returning to it. Maybe you are going to be taking in a role as a teacher or creating content. International dealings, immigration, speaking, spiritual processes having to do with churches or other organizations can also be in here, as well as just your general optimism and creative solution finding. All of these fields of experience that I did this deep dive for Cancer are the areas where you're having extra golden opportunities to utilize these forward-moving stars with these concentrations of the planets being in these configurations for you. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie, the letter B, Clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Leo friends. Okay, so now we're going to do a deep dive into the Leo viewpoint for these golden opportunities that some of which may be your last chance to capitalize on this month or in this period of time. This is for you, for Leo signs, rising, sun, moon, whatever you're watching for. And if you are a late degree Leo friend, so birthdays like August 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree Leo placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you continue to listen after this report for the Virgo report, as you very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. Okay, so we're going to do our deep dive to see what these 8 points of the golden opportunities this month mean for Leo. I want to make sure that you're equipped to make the most of my offerings. In another browser window right now, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com and click on Unleash to get your free May star report. And that will have all the sweet dates of the month, all the salty ones, and a lot of other info. All written by me, not AI. Okay, so let's talk about this Aries stellium and talk about what the heck these opportunities are for Leo. The fire party continues that we had in April. Anytime there are fire transits, this is excellent news for Leo. even if it does sometimes mean overwhelmed because of an abundance of fire, right? Burning yourself out a bit. Because the Aries aspects make what's called a trine with Leo placements. That's the most favorable aspect in all of astrology. This is the kind of aspect where things can just fall in your lap. You don't even necessarily have to actively use them to get the benefits, but if you are aware that they're going on, you can actively use them to get the benefits. And since we're not going to have open stars like this for a while, this May kind of lingering into June time period, and Aries rules action, you'll want to make the most of these opportunities. And they can come anywhere in life, from anywhere in life, but there's some specific focus on the 9th house for Leo, because that is where that's where Aries lights up for the Leo chart, is the 9th house of Sagittarius. So your golden opportunities may be extra concentrated on international business or travel, international dealings of any kind, immersions into different cultures, interacting with people who you can learn about different cultures from, which can be relevant to your work or your passion projects. Anything having to do with teaching, creating content, launching a school, launching a course. This is one of your best months of the whole year to do this. If you want to study something that's important to you for your work, for your passion project, for your interest, for your hobby, for your spiritual or psychological development, this 9th house activity is brilliant for this. Also, anything having to do with like publishing a book and any spiritual studies at all, where you delve into kind of the bigger picture. The Sagittarius energy is really the sage on the mountain, where you get to look at the 360 view, kind of like a bird. Also, it kind of looks more like a butterfly, so we'll call it a bird, but it looks like a butterfly anyway. Because you get a vantage point from higher up, way higher up than a butterfly, because I guess that's more Gemini energy, which we also will have this month. But that bird's eye view of seeing the bigger picture of things, a lot of gifts are going to come through that type of perspective for Leo at this time. As the planets move into Taurus and join the Sun and Ceres, so Mars will get there mid-month, Mercury will get there a few days into May, we start a very strong Taurus party. These energies are happening at the same time as the Aries placements, the other Aries placements, Neptune, Saturn, Chiron, Eris. Those are longer term placements. Okay, well, look, Chiron's going to move into Taurus here pretty soon after about 5 years of being in Aries. But, some of these energies in Aries that I'm talking about for these great gifts from Leo are actually long term and will not just be this month, but some of the other energies are going to just be for this period of time. And then we start the Taurus party. The combination of Taurus and Aries at the same time helps you to use the direction, the inspiration, the impetus of Aries, the rambunctious bull running in a tea shop energy, directed into long-term stable building processes. And this building has to do with your place out in the world. For many people, that will very simply be your work, your employment, your job, your lateral movement, or your trying to get the position of your dreams, or launching a business, or side projects. For other people for whom you don't need to make money, or if you're retired, this could be passion projects, things that you're doing out in the world, whether you're getting paid for them or not. Things that put you in a position of leadership, authority, things having to do with your parents, historically father figure energy will be here. That may be strong at this time. So all this Taurus energy for Leo makes a square, which can be a pressured angle. There could be pressure in those spaces, but the pressure is often needed in order to make a move or make a decision or have the gumption to do something bold that you've been wanting to do or been needing to do. Sometimes the pressure comes through the form of aggravation that makes you do something, and sometimes it just comes from like growing out of a pair of shoes, right? When your kids grow out of shoes, you can't fit in them anymore. There's nothing else that you can do, and that energy may be coming up in your place out in the world, whether it's paid or not, where you're just outgrowing the level or the type of expression that it has had. And that pressure is from you feeling that outgrowing and you needing to bust into something that's more roomy for you, something that has more space for the future. The tides that I talked about in the intro, and if you haven't listened to the intro, you may want to jump back there and do that, because it's the foundation on which everything I'm talking about here is laid. And this month is very much about building foundations for the long term, with the tides really going out, very strong outward tides, with not only the personal planets, Mars, Mercury, and Venus, not having any retrograde or shadow periods, but also the outer planets going direct, at least until the 7th of May, and then just Pluto turning, with the rest of them going direct for the rest of the month and into June, as they start to shift more into retrograde in that month. But here we are with these pressures for this growth. Starting from the beginning of the month, we have Venus in Gemini with very long-term planet Sedna, probably lifetime movement here. It's been kind of dancing back and forth between Taurus and Gemini, but it takes a very long time for Sedna to move signs. Uranus recently in Gemini, Venus just blowing through. As the month progresses, around the 21st, the Sun will get there, Ceres will get there, and then we'll have this party developing in your 11th house, which is making networking, your friendships and your groups, super important this month. If you need to take actions on clearing house in your friendship sector, or in your online community sector, or in your in-person community sector, taking stock of friendships, making changes there, or diving deeper into the places where the Taurus energies help you to discern are worthy of your next big focus. So you'll either double down on these people in your life, the groups, the teams, the organizations, the community-based things, or you'll be cleaning house, or you'll be expanding these areas to include more networks, wider networks, and different levels of group experience. And the things that you may want to launch may have to do with sharing your gifts in a way where other people are being helped from it. So like a bigger mission or a bigger group purpose. Let's talk about some important dates. The first of the month, May 1st, we've got the full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio. This is bringing to completion, fullness, fruition, drama, the energies of Scorpio, which are deep intimacy, romantic and financial relationships, family relationships, legacies, estate planning. And this period of time is some of the best in the whole year for trying to make some permanent trusts or wills or something that you want to carry out far and wide for a long period of time. Those important questions that you ask with people that you're financially enmeshed with. You may be refinancing loans, you may be clearing up debt, you may be addressing things with taxes or other income that comes from the government, or spousal support, or court cases and things like that. And especially at the beginning of the month, this full moon is going to bring this out into the open, out into the very, very conscious space, from the unconscious space where it's been kind of lurking and looming. Now, specifically for Leo, this is going to happen in the 4th house of home and family. So you may see something with real estate, home, housing, family matters come to a head at this time in the beginning of the month, and it may be time to clear the air in those arenas and address some important things to move forward. And maybe you need to just clear the air to get everyone on the same page for these big projects. Maybe, some stuff has to come out in order for you to get the information that you need to move forward with whatever you're working on there. We do have some additional support and focus from Jupiter on the energy of Cancer. Cancer rules the 4th house. And for Leo, Cancer shows up in the 12th house. So since the middle of 2025 until July 1st, 2026, we have Jupiter in Cancer, expanding home, family, moves, bringing more freedom, increasing some trouble like problems with your home or housing as a purpose to ask bigger questions to try to get more freedom. And you've got a couple of months of this still, May and June, before it switches. But at the same time, as you're feeling these energies still, you're starting to feel the movement of Jupiter into your sign. This is 1 year every 12 years. The 13th year, you get to have, one of 12 years, you basically get to have Jupiter in your sign, and you're about to start that. Even though it's not officially going in until July, I have seen across the board, since I've been tracking this for decades, Jupiter moving into a different sign or house will often show up at least 3 months before it actually gets there. So by now you might start feeling this regeneration, this revitalization, this beginning of a new 12-year cycle as it relates to your identity or how people know you or what you want to invest in for the next 12 years. If you focused on something for the last 12 years, You may be going to the next level of that, or you may be making some lateral movements to expand that, or you may be feeling some closure come with what you've been doing there and moving into the projects you want to do next that will enhance your vitality and your excitement and your passion. And that's happening already, but you'll feel it get stronger as we get towards July. But this is already a current that you'll feel in May, especially if you know to look for it. Besides all the other Taurus energy that I mentioned in that 10th house of your place out in the world, May 16th, we also have a new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus. So really good chance for planting seeds for your ideal work situation, your ideal place, place out there in public, your public image, how people know you, your projects that put you kind of into the limelight or into being seen or interacting with other people. So it's some good seed planting opportunities in the middle of the month there. And then this is a very special month too, May 31st, we've got a blue moon, a full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius, fellow fire sign, very exciting. There are different definitions of a blue moon. One of them is the second full moon in a sign, the same sign in a row, or the second full moon in a calendar month. So this is the kind of blue moon that this is. So a once in a blue moon opportunities as it relates to Sagittarius things. We've already discussed a lot of Sag things because of the Aries focus there. So you've got an extra boost at the end of the month of the full moon in the topics of the teaching and the learning and the international stuff and the bigger broad vision things, your big eagle eye view of life. And specifically for Leo, this is accentuating your 5th house of Leo. And this has to do with children and creativity and the things that make you feel like a kid that you're so excited about. The things that make you feel like you're stretched up like a sunflower. I always like to call this house because Leo rules the sun, and the sunflowers stretch up to the sun with their strong stalks, and they reach up and face the sun. And I always feel like since the sun and Leo rule this 5th house, the things that go on in this 5th house, feel like that sunflower beaming in the strength and the warmth of the sun. So whatever makes you feel that way. Additionally, romantic experiences, your true love sector, all of that. Children that you work with, your own children, again, passion projects, hobbies, bucket list things, all of that is really beautifully being lit up at the end of the month with that blue moon. So you may get some once in a blue moon opportunities there as well. All of you can get goodies from that blue moon at 10 degrees of Sag, but those of you who are the last few days of July birthdays and the first few days of August birthdays, and between like 5 and 15 degree placements, the closer to 10 degrees, the more you may get a noticeable, obvious kiss from that blue moon. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie the letter B, Clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even. So you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Virgo friends. Okay, so hopefully you've listened to the intro because that has laid the foundation for everything we're going to discuss and look through the Virgo lens at. This is for all Virgo placements, sun, moon, rising, any other Virgo placement you're listening for. It will be part of your astrological picture. And remember that you late degree Virgo friends, so birthdays like September 15th through the rest of the sign or 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you listen on in this time-stamped recording to the next segment of Libra because your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. All right, so a couple of admin things I would like to take care of first, and thank you for offering me the space to do this. Most of the work I do in the world is free, and of the hours and hours of content that I create, only a very small portion is me telling you about something else free for you or a couple of paid options that I have. And that's what keeps everything going. Anytime you make a purchase like that from me, that helps me to be able to continue to do free content that you love. So something else free for you, go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on Unleash. That will get you my free May star report with all the sweet dates of the month. I will give you dates in this report, but you get a complete list of the best aspects. And as I said, we have double the best aspects this month compared to salty ones. The salty aspects and thousands of words that I write, no AI writing, to help you understand the month. Okay, so you can do that. That's free. If you want to see what the outer planets, those ones that take longer to get around, Jupiter out through Pluto, are doing in your personal chart, get your personalized video reports made by me at anniebclarity.com, Annie the letter B, clarity.com. And if you want to learn astrology, I believe there will always be a place for individual astrologers connecting deeply with other people and helping guide them in their lives. If you crave this space with other people, you will love my course. See beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and at this time, you will get $2,500 worth of free promos when you register for my course, which is actually nowhere even near that cost. So it's quite a heck of a deal if you're interested in learning astrology and you want to help other people with astrology. All right, thank you for listening through that. So now let's do this deep dive into Virgo. And let's just start with the most obvious things going on is all this Aries energy, okay? Pallas Athena, Neptune, Saturn, Mars until May 19th, Eris for a really long time, Mercury for the first few days of May, and Chiron for a little while longer, all in Aries, bringing a lot of fire, bringing a lot of impetus, bringing possibly arguments and possibly conflicts. And for Virgo, this is going to be centered around joint money. All right, those deep, intimate spaces where you connect with people with money, the touchy money topics, family money, spousal money, estates, anything having to do with taxes and credit and loans. You may be refinancing. This would be an amazing time to do that. You may be getting access to funds for a big purchase. This is an amazing time to do that. Anything legacy, wills, trusts, winnings, sweepstakes, all of those things are being accentuated in the short and long term by these Aries placements. So you may have to have some big discussions here at this time. And Aries is bringing this very kind of maybe even forceful, but certainly at minimum assertive energy to deal with these things. Aries energy is in an awkward aspect for Virgo. So you will feel that from this, where you have to maybe have some discussions you don't want to have. But this can set you up for a very long time to come. Remember, as I talked about in the introduction, which if you haven't listened to that, I suggest you go back and listen to it because it lays the foundation for what we're talking about here. But we talked about the fact that the tides are seriously going out because of the direct planets, no personal planet retrogrades or shadow periods. The outer planets are going direct. This is a really big time for forward movement and for long-term projects. So things that you put into motion now can really echo out for a very long time to come. Okay, so with all of this inspiration and maybe a little bit of recklessness, we got, fortunately, a lot of Taurus energy to try to be discerning, to try to help you hone in on what you really want to put your energy behind. As I said, Mars and Mercury will get there, joining the Sun and Ceres and that new moon on May 16th at 26 degrees of Taurus. All of this is fellow Earth energy for you. So this is a much different profile than this fiery energy we're talking about with Aries. It's in the most perfect angle in all of astrology for Virgo, fellow Earth sign Taurus, okay, 120 degrees. It's best angle possible. A lot of harmony, a lot of peace, a lot of easy things coming from this angle in your personal experiences. Some things may just fall in your lap. There's also a highlight on the energy of Sagittarius because that's where Taurus lights up for Virgo, is the 9th house of Sag. And this brings a massive focus on international connections, immigration, different cultures, learning, teaching, publishing, writing, speaking, spiritual pursuits, kind of being that sage on the top of the mountain looking at the bigger picture of things and finding creative solutions. All of that energy is present all month, but you've got an extra boost of it at the end of the month and the days around May 31st when we have a blue full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. Now that's going to be happening in a different sector for you. I'll get to that later, but I just wanted to kind of point out we've got a couple of layers of this Sagittarius theme for Virgo. So you're going to get a lot of that this month. So if you need a creative solution, if you're trying to express something of importance, if you want to learn something or want to teach something or want to embark on one of these ventures, publishing, teaching, speaking, etc., this is a very big month. And if you're trying to do something big, this may be the month that you actually put it in and crystallize it into practice, okay, because of all of this open energy. So it could be one of the best times ever for you to publish a book or start a course that you're learning or start a course that you're teaching or creating content. Okay, now as the planets continue to move, the sun around the 21st will get into Gemini, joining long-term newly into Gemini Uranus, very long-term Sedna in Gemini, and short-term whisking through Venus in Gemini. Gemini is variety seeking. It can be a little wishy-washy. It can, enjoy the options, but this strong Taurus energy will help you draw from these options the things that you want to focus on. The same with the Aries energy. It's like this earth energy is coalescing to take from these potentials and help you to really build some structures in your life now and for the future and build some stability. Okay, so as these Gemini placements progress through, this is highlighting your sector of work and career and employment. So if you are in the market for a job, a lateral job change, if one of the big launches that you have is a business, this is one of the best times possible to launch a business. So you've got all of that going for you. The Gemini energy may make you have to try to decide between two options or kind of possibly go in a couple of different directions. It's a diversification energy. And on that topic, the Sag energy all month from the Taurus placements in your 9th house and concentrated at the end of the month through the blue moon in Sag, all are very much geared to diversification. So you may find at this time that you are wanting to diversify your interests. In general, Virgo placements tend to have multiple interests for their work, and they tend to make money through different things. So if that isn't happening for you, it may start now. If it is, you may find more diversity in how you're making money. A little here, a little there, side project, side business, your regular job, whatever it is. This is a great time to advance on all of those fronts. If you don't need to make money, or if you're a Virgo who's retired, if you're a Virgo who, for whatever reason, doesn't need to earn money, this can have to do with your passion projects or things that you do out in the community or the public space that don't involve money. And for those of you who are employed, you still can have these passion projects and these things that you do in the public space that aren't things you make money for. And also these can bring fame, Fame and income are not always connected. So you may become known for something. There's a lot of energy around kind of public notoriety for Virgo this month. Okay, so as we start the month out, we're really kind of getting some of the most emotional parts of the month with the full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Full water moons tend to be even more emotional than regular full moons. So we are kind of launching into that energy right at the beginning, bringing up that 8th house energy that we talked about with the Aries placements, those same things, the legacies, the estates, the shared income. You're going to get an extra infusion of those emotional topics at the beginning of the month, but then the Aries placements will kind of carry them through, out longer for those quick moving planets. Mars and Mercury will kind of pass through quickly, and then you've got these long-term storylines in those arenas. Then at the end of the month, you've got this fullness, completion, fruition drama in the Sag moon. But again, seeing as that's a fire moon, it can be emotional, certainly, and both of them can give you insomnia at either end of the month here. But, it's not as intense from the emotional perspective in some ways as at the beginning of the month, where you'll really have to be having those emotional conversations. Now, at the end of the month, when you have that blue moon in Sag, there will be some potential for extra emotion for Virgo coming from the fact that this full moon, blue moon, is in your house of Cancer. So it's a fire moon in a water house, and it is bringing focus and elucidation into your home and family and housing. If you have to make a change within your family, if you have to have those conversations, if you have to make a change with your housing or real estate, you may notice that this is coming up all this month with some sort of like grand finale here with the Sagittarius moon. And if you've got to take action, at least you've got the direct stars and this Aries energy to move you forward, and the Taurus energy to help you have an eye for the future. As I mentioned in the intro, the whole, second half of the year is going to be more geared towards inward and backward, revising, redoing, moving things along that you've already put in process. So if you have to do some extra work to do some building now and getting through some major stuff now, put the time in now, because it's going to be easier now than it will be when we're in the midst of all of those retrogrades as we move on. We've got just a couple of more months of Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is also accentuating the home and family and housing sector since the middle of last year. As of July 1st, it switches into Leo. But for Virgo, this is accentuating your house of friendships and networking. And you've got long-term stories of building and clearing out in that space of where you're part of a group and kind of lending your efforts into a community or other kind of project. You may also be spending this year getting caught up with some technology or making changes in your friendships or your social media online friendship sort of space. So you've got a couple more months of a big push there. At the same time, Jupiter is moving towards your 12th house, and you will start to feel that now, even though it's not officially there in the whole house chart until July. And the later you are in the Virgo sign, the later it will take to get into the 12th house in your Placidus chart. So we've got, some layers of a process going on here. But you will start to notice more attention to your intuition, more attention to your inner world. That's really, calling out for you to look at this. And Jupiter's going to put you on a year journey of getting to know the depths of your emotional being in greater ways, psychological breakthroughs, spiritual understandings, etc. And you may have some important pieces of that start to come in this month. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to anniebclarity.com, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Libra friends. Okay, so welcome to your special segment looking at the stars through the lens of the Libra chart, Libra sun, moon, rising, whatever you're watching for. We're going to pinpoint very specific things just for you. If you haven't already watched the intro, go back and do that because it will lay the foundation for everything I'm going to expand upon here. We've got 2 money moons for Libra this month. Very exciting. We've got a blue moon bringing some extra opportunities. We're going to drill down into that. Jupiter is blazing forward. Just a couple of months left in Cancer. We'll talk about what that means for Libra. And a massive amount of Aries energy, Taurus energy, and growing Gemini energy as the month progresses. I am going to give you some important dates. You may want to write them down, or you can go right now in another browser window to anniehelpsyou.com. Scroll down just a bit and click on Unleash, and that will get you your free May written star report written by me. No AI. I do all of my work old school still. So you'll be able to get all the best dates of the month, worst dates, and everything else by going there. Okay, so let's talk about the most obvious thing going on, which is this massive amount of Aries energy. And we'll break it down for what that means for Libra. Pallas Athena, transiting Neptune, Saturn, Mars, Eris, Chiron, and Mercury are all gathered in Aries. This is a time when not only the stars are moving forward, which is making momentum happen and action, we also have crowded energy in the sign of Aries. In the long term, Neptune, Saturn, Eris, Chiron, but also in the short term, Pallas, Mars, and Mercury. Mars will be there until mid-month. Mercury will be in Aries just for the first few days of the month. But you can see there's just a massive amount of support for trying to get something done. If you've been stuck, if you've been procrastinating, if you haven't been sure of what to do, if the eclipses brought information and you didn't know what to do with it, or didn't have the wherewithal to do with it, or didn't have the clarity for seeing far enough in the future for what you want to do with it, that is all changing now. So once that open window began April 10th, around April 10th or so, now we're continuing this forward movement, and now we have this, continued crowd of Aries energy. Okay, so you're going to have a fire under your butt to do things, and you'll have the clarity to do it, and you'll be able to see far enough ahead in order to see what you want to do. Do guard against recklessness, impulsiveness, and all of this Aries energy can just boil over from excitement and inspiration into agitation. It kind of makes me think of, if you watch, in the winter, I was watching some Wolverines playing in the snow, and it was it's really, really cute. They're very, very busy. But they were clearly playing at first, but then they started to get really agitated and started to sound really scary. And that energy reminds me very much of what's going on with this Aries energy, where you're playing, you're excited, you're motivated, and then it like spills over into agitation, frustration, kind of that fine line. And Aries toes both of those lines, that has that polarity of inspiration to agitation. So just watch out for it, because it's crowding in Libra's 7th house of relationships. So you may find people that you can work with that you're so excited to do stuff with. You may have more excitement with your partner or your friends or your family members, but you also may have some arguments and things to get through, and you will have the motivation and energy to do it. Mars is in its own sign until the middle of the month, and that's bringing a lot of just, coherence in just trying to make things happen. Many months for the year are not the months to try to make things happen. But as I talked about in the intro, this is one of the months to make things happen. And the Aries energy can help you do that. As always with Libra, we're always talking about a polarity of me versus we. This is extra accentuated at the time of April into May when we have these Aries planets, because they are crowding in that 7th house of Libra for Libra. So you can kind of see there's going to be a very strong focus on other people, what they can do for you, what you can do for them, what needs to be changed, what needs to be agreed upon, what needs to move forward. So you'll see a lot of focus there. As the month progresses, as I said early on, Mercury will meet Sun and Ceres in Taurus. Mid-month, Mars will get to Taurus as well, and these will crowd into the 8th house, which is a second partnership house, and join right at the beginning of the month, May 1st, the full moon. Or I'm sorry, no, that's the May 16th is the new moon in Taurus. We'll talk about that full moon in Scorpio later. But yeah, mid-month, the new moon is also in Taurus. So you've got this increasing, growing crowd of Taurus energy, first of all, motivation that is made productive. Aries energy on its own is a bull in a china shop. It has some direction, but it's short-lived and sporadic and doesn't have the longevity. But as the month progresses, you get to see what you're excited about wants to move into a longer term building mode. So you're moving throughout the month into this building mode, and it's progressing. And one of the things you're building has to do with your finances. Okay, so I already talked about how we have 2 money moons for Libra this month. May 1st is the Scorpio full moon at 11 degrees in your 2nd house of Taurus, and then May 16th is the new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus in your 8th house. So 2nd and 8th houses are highlighted strongly, which mean my stuff versus our stuff. My stuff versus your stuff. The resources that you have and how it can benefit me, and the resources that I have and how it can benefit you. This is a shared, cooperative, collaborative, bouncing back and forth of energy where it's feeding your autonomy and your individual finances while also merging spousal money, family money, inheritances, gifts, sweepstakes, loans. If you need to get a loan for something, this may be your perfect month. It's one of the best months of the whole year. If you're trying to get a mortgage, refinance a mortgage, get a loan for something else, pay off debt, get things cleared up in your financial world. If you have to make a will, do something with legacy stuff. This is one of the best months of the whole year to talk about that kind of stuff. You've got the Scorpio highlight from the house and from the full moon. You've got the 2nd house and Taurus energy activated for doing something where you're building and trying to put something in for a long-term plan. And the stars are going direct without the nuisance of the shadows of the retrogrades and different kind of things. You're not dealing with any of that this month. So if you're trying to put something permanent and kind of complicated in place financially, this is definitely one of your best months of the whole year. So take action on that. Important family discussions may need to be had. You might have to, you might have the Aries arguments that come through as you're working it out. But this is a time to have those conversations, put those things in place, do the work, take the time, get the help you need to put those things in process. If you need support through the government, through, other services that are free, this is also ruling this. And you may just find money. I've found money many a time, or won something many a time during 8th house focus. So, that is just it, finding things out of the ethers. Now, this is not just the material plane. This is also the emotional plane, the psychological plane, the spiritual plane, spiritual breakthroughs, psychological understandings and enlightenment. Even just watching a mystery series or reading a good mystery series, that is all the energy of Scorpio. So you'll see that growing as the month progresses. Then, as we move further in the month, of course, the sun will get to Gemini, joining Uranus, Sedna, and Venus. Uranus and Sedna, Uranus is there now for at least 7 or so years. Newish to Gemini, was popping back and forth between Taurus and Gemini for a bit. It's there permanently now. Sedna, that's a whole other story. We're not getting into that. It's super long term. But Venus will blow through, and the sun will get there, and Ceres is going to get there, and Mercury is going to get there. And so as the month progresses, this impetus, this drive, this building, this clarity, this trying to make something happen turns into a little bit more fun, turns into a little bit more variety, turns into a little bit more exploring of options and more of the experimental type of energy. And the whole month is good for experimenting. And the Gemini energy will be present all month, even though it will grow in percentage as the month goes on. So you'll have that sort of variety seeking, looking for options along the sidelines, coloring out of the lines a little bit, mixed in with your very diligent, organized Taurus and your very riveted Aries. So all of that is happening. Now, as the Gemini energy progresses, you're getting a strengthening of a storyline in your 9th house of Sagittarius. And this is going to piggyback off of the moon, the blue moon at the end of the month, May 31st, blue full moon at 10 degrees of Sag. So you're having the energy of Sagittarius progress for you through the house, specifically for Libra. Nobody else is getting this, but everyone will get the full moon energy of Sag at the end of the month. So Libra's getting a double dose of this: optimism, expansion, excitement, adventure, exploring, broadening your horizons. And the 3rd house and the 9th house that are aspected between the full moon and the Gemini transits are accentuating the energy of Gemini and Sagittarius, beaming back and forth between each other, which is going to bring this education, this information, taking information in, putting information out, learning, teaching. You may find your perfect school program. You may find your perfect education program. You may start teaching yourself. It's great. One of the best months of the whole year for launching content. If you have a content-based business, or you're trying to create a course, or you're trying to publish a book, the whole month has great energy for this for you, and some extra good energy around that blue moon at the end of the month. Venus is in Gemini, so this is bringing the energy of love and money. If you're looking for love, you may find it internationally, or you may find it through people who are linked to international things. And international business is very strongly highlighted at this time. So you'll have the optimism and the spiraling of the Gemini and Sag. They both move in upward spirals. So you will feel at the beginning of the month, it's very directed, it's focused, it's excited, it's trying to get something done. And then this Gemini energy is more all over the place. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. So needless to say, this will be a very overstimulating month, and you'll have to do your best to stay grounded. The Taurus energies will help, but the other energies around it are definitely going to serve to possibly get things out of balance. So you've got to watch out for that. From the wellness perspective, Aries rules the head and the neurological system and everything there in the brain and in the head, eyes, everything there. If you have symptoms, this could be an amazing time to get symptoms checked out and to have clarity about something that's been going on a long time. Headaches, weird sensations. This may be a month to see what your body is trying to tell you. Taurus rules the thyroid, rules the neck. Gemini rules the hands and wrists, and the arms up to the respiratory system. So even from your nose down through your lungs, and the whole respiratory system is ruled by Gemini. So look into those kind of things as you have this strong energy focus there. And of course, protect your immune system. With all the overstimulation and focus on Gemini, this is a time when, you could get run down and you might need extra support to protect yourself. Okay, so I also mentioned in my little summary at the beginning that Jupiter is blazing forward as of March 9th or 10th, around there. So here in May, it's really getting rowdy, and we only have 2 more months of Jupiter in Cancer. So from June of 2025 into just early July of 2026, Jupiter's been expanding home, family, housing, real estate, your sense of security, healing from your past, your psychological and emotional space, your sacred space, and, things having to do with where you live, your surroundings, and your family of origin and the family you've created. So those things are continuing to progress, and there's a strong curve of trying to get stuff wrapped up in those divisions. If you're trying to get your home stuff done and it's been hard, this month may be easier to get people to do what they said they were going to do around your house. If you need repairs, this would be a perfect month for trying to generate all of that focus in your home and family. Tending to the psychological space of yourself and your family, this has been a wonderful opportunity all year, from the middle of last year to the middle of this year. So take advantage of May and June to get the rest of those things wrapped up. Extra support for, the kids, brain neurofeedback. If you're not familiar with brain neurofeedback, it can be very helpful for autism and ADHD and all kinds of issues that children and adults have. Again, I'm not diagnosing, prescribing, or treating, but I'm connecting you with information that may be part of this Jupiter expansion into that family space, where you can look these things up yourself. You can look at the science behind this. You can look at the results that people have gotten. And maybe this will be how you'll focus attention for yourself or your family. Healing trauma, these kind of things with practitioners that do that would be amazing focus for the rest of Jupiter's flow. And specifically for Libra, you've got a little bit longer of Jupiter accentuating your house of work and career and your place out in the world. Place out in the world doesn't necessarily have to do with your job. So if you're not employed and you don't want to be employed, or you don't need to be, every time I talk about the 10th house, just remember, for you and for the employed people as well, this is your place out in the world. It's your reputation. It's the clubs that you're a part of that get you in the limelight or get you being seen, or your work. Passion projects can be in there. One of the best months in the whole year for getting a new job, for launching a business, for moving laterally or getting a promotion, for getting your fingers into a lot of pudding pies in your work sector. This is something that you may have noticed has been going on, where you've got this fire burning here in your work sector, this fire burning in your place out in the world. Jupiter likes diversity in expression. So having a side job from your normal job, trying to build a business even though you have a regular job, making money in multiple different ways, or having multiple projects. Jupiter has been giving energy for that. And so you will notice that that is going to be present very strongly for a couple of months. And that's in the whole house chart. From the Placidus chart perspective, the later you are in the Libra sign, so, October born Libras compared to September born Libras, you'll still have longer with Jupiter in this house than the September born from the Placidus perspective. And the later you are in the sign, the longer you'll have Jupiter in this space. But for, all intents and purposes, it's starting to fade, and you will be feeling that. So make the most of it. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart, and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie, the letter B, Clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Hello, Scorpio friends. Okay, so let's talk about the Scorpio specific lens. You've got a full moon in your sign this month. We've got that blue moon at the end of the month. We'll talk about that. We have the new moon in your opposing sign. We have your co-ruler, Mars, extra rowdy and extra Aries energy, which Mars rules Aries and Mars is one of your co-rulers. So, you know, this is a pretty intense month. So we're going to talk about all of this through the Scorpio lens. This is for you if Scorpio is your sun, moon, rising, or any other Scorpio placement you're listening for. You'll get a piece of your picture from this report. If you haven't listened to the intro already, do that because what I'm going to talk about here builds upon the intro and dives in specifically for Scorpio. Very late degree Scorpio friends, so birthdays like November 15th through the rest of the sign, I suggest you listen on in this time-stamped video to the next segment with Sagittarius for let's say birthdays like November 15th through the rest of the sign and 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign. Your very late degree placements will benefit from both readings as you are kind of like Scorpitariuses. Okay, so I've got a couple of admin notes I want to go through, and thank you for giving this space to do this. Most of the work I do in the world is for free. This is my 15th year of doing this every month, and I'm happy to offer free work. Most of you benefiting from my work will never give me any money, and that's totally fine. But I do have some additional free resources that I want to let you know about, and when you do purchase any of my few paid resources, that helps me to keep being able to show up and create this content. So if you find these things valuable, that would be great. All right, so free thing, I'm going to give you a lot of dates this month. If you don't have a space to write them down, or you just want to know all the best dates of the month, all the worst dates of the month, and everything in between, a very long written report that I write, not AI. If you're into that, go in another browser window right now to anniehelpsyou.com. Scroll down just a bit, click on Unleash, and you will get your free May written star report. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and an occasional promo, so you will not be spammed. We're going to talk about some of the outer planet activity. If you want to personalize for your chart, go to anniebclarity.com, Annie the letter B clarity.com. And if you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, there will always be a place for individuals helping people with astrology. That close one-to-one connection, that intimate connection of gazing into someone's soul and helping them. If that is exciting to you and you want to learn, I can teach you. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com. And I'm also giving away $2,500 worth of promos when you register for this course now. And that's much more than the course actually costs itself. So you can see that at beastropro.com. beastropro.com. Okay, so now let's dive into the yummy Scorpio lens. Let's start with the obvious, all of this Aries energy. Long-term Aries energy, Neptune and Saturn new to Aries. Chiron's been there for some years. Eris has been there a very long time. But short-term energies, Pallas Athena, Mars, which is your co-ruler I was talking about, and Mercury, all in Aries. This is crazy. impetus, drive, inspiration, motivation, getting through blocks, getting through the uncomfortable, awkward conversations, dealing with things that you've been avoiding, and just moving forward with things you want to move forward with. Aries has all of this energy for you. It does make a bit of an awkward angle for Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign. These are all fire. There is a little bit of a different language that the fire speaks. It does motivate and put under your watery pot a great deal of, heat, which can get you to do things, but some of the things may not be things you've wanted to deal with. Very top points specifically for Scorpio this month, health and wellness. If you've had a symptom, if you've had something nagging at you, if you haven't been for checks in a while with whatever practitioners you use, this would be the time to do it, because the sixth house is being crowded by all this Aries energy, is your health house. And Aries pertains to your physical body. So you've got a double level of health and wellness. Maybe this is just you getting to your next level of wellness, your buffest, your strongest, your leanest, your, having the most endurance. All of these things are questions that Scorpio may be asking. How do you get to these goals at this time? And the answers will be forthcoming. You also may have a symptom, or you may have a health malady that you may be able to make massive amount of progress on now. If you've got something going on with you and you haven't been able to get clear information on what it is, this is one of your best months of the whole year to get diagnostics and to implement long-term healing strategies. All of this energy also can pertain to pets, animals, your daily work, your office space, the kinds of things you do every day, your routines, yoga, walking, supplements, diet. All of those things are being featured for Scorpio at this time. And Aries energy pertains to the head and neurological system, so there's extra energy there. We'll have a ton of Taurus, we'll get into that, and that pertains to the throat and thyroid. And the Gemini rules hands, wrists, arms, the respiratory system from beginning to end, and that whole circuit there. So those areas may need extra support at this time. I'm not diagnosing, treating, or prescribing. I'm informing you of a coalescing of energetics in this sector that may bring these things into the forefront. The double-edged sword of Aries is, on one end, the positive end, inspiration, motivation, support, ambition, excitement, enthusiasm, the will to get things done. This is one of your best months of the whole year to make things happen. If you have something you need to make happen, you're not going to get a better time for a long time from, between April, May, and the beginning of June. You're not going to get a better time. There will be a small window open in the rest of the year that is free from personal planet retrogrades. But that's it. And even that won't have as much forward moving energy as you have right now. So if there's something that you maybe could get done now, when you're trying to put it off to later in the year, you may not be as ambitious. You may not be as focused later on. So it's a time to not make excuses. On the list of the things that are other offerings that I have, when you go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, if you scroll down, you'll see next, not Unleash, but the box next to it, you'll see the Secret Star Portal. I actually have the whole 2026 retrograde direct planning calendar there. So if you're trying to plan for the rest of the year for that window, you can find that there. Okay, so let's talk about Taurus now. Mercury will get there early in the month. Mars will get there around May 19th, join the Sun and Ceres. Taurus energy is a building energy. So Aries is the spark. Taurus is the thing that brings it into productivity, into action, into manifestation. And this is a very special point for Scorpio because it's your polarity, it's your opposing point. So of course, whenever we have Scorpio and Taurus energy, this accentuates your Aries first house and your seventh house of Libra, which are the me, we polarity, as I like to call them. So that full moon in your sign, 11 degrees, May 1st, you'll be feeling the combination of the partnership energy with your autonomy. Aries energy is accentuated through all the Aries placements, but it's also accentuated through the full moon that's in the first house of Aries for Scorpio. Everything in life is layers. Everything in astrology is layers. We can see the duality intrinsic in the human experience in the chart by where we see these opposing forces that are opposing and complementary. And you can see these layers come up through the signs, through the houses, through the planets, through the aspects. All of these are things that will affect you. So you're looking for autonomy now and trying to get support for your partnerships. Your partnerships need support, and you're looking for win-wins on how everyone involved can get what they need. If you're not looking for win-wins, this Aries energy is going to turn argumentative and really annoying. But if you convert it to, okay, this is a thing that I've identified that I need. And from the beginning of the month, you may identify something that you need because this full moon is going to bring that out. All the Scorpio placements can feel that full moon very strongly, but those of you who are around 14 degrees, we'll say 11 degrees through, that's more like 9 degrees through 19 degrees, the closer to 14 degrees, the more you'll feel it. And the people who will feel it the strongest are birthdays like Halloween. The end of the October time frame, early November, you all will get the most concentration for this full moon. But those of you who are 5 days before that and 5 days, up to 5 days before and after those dates, like the 25th of October through like November 5th, somewhere in there, this may be extra poignant or extra obvious for you. But all the rest of you still have the magic. You can still work with it consciously. You can still do things with it. And you can still see very obvious effects. But, the more you are close to the actual point, the more intense it may be. But this is a seeking time for Scorpio. You're looking for what is going to give you that freedom, that autonomy that you're looking for, and what steps you have to take to make that happen. Okay, so if you need help getting these things done, the Taurus in the Libra house is going to help you find the perfect people to help you with your health, to help you with your project, to help you with your goals. And if your work is helping people with those things, then, this could be a very busy time for you. All right, now as the month progresses, the sun around the 21st will get into Gemini, joining long-term Uranus, long-term Sedna, and short-term Venus. All of that is accentuating Scorpio's 8th house of Scorpio. All right, so variety seeking in money and love, trying to expand possibilities in your current relationships or expanding your relationships of any kind, looking for interesting, unique opportunities or solutions to problems that may come up. And you may be having conversations about contracts, legal things, taxes, debt, loans. One of the best months of the whole year to get a loan. One of the best months of the year to pay things off, to find financial solutions, to get financial support, and for investing. Long-term investing. There are all different kinds of investing. We got our day traders, then we got our Warren Buffett, blue chip, long-term holder people, and everybody in between. But this month is great for everything. Crypto, any of those, weird things that people don't understand what the heck they are, that's all in the Scorpio domain. So as those energies get highlighted, big burst at the beginning of the month with the full moon, throughout the month is strong, and it gets stronger as the month progresses, of the 8th house of Scorpio being highlighted through the Gemini placements. These are opportunities for you to diversify your income, to diversify your investment, to experiment, to go into long-term things. And Taurus is here helping you build for the future, build your relationships and build your finances. This can also be building of your emotional space, your spiritual space. So, psychological and spiritual development can also be very strongly highlighted here. Jupiter's been blazing forward since the middle of March, and we only have until July 1st with Jupiter in Cancer. So let's talk about how you can make the most of this and what changes you may be seeing since last June into July of this year. Home, family, housing, very big focus at this time. That's for every sign because Jupiter's been moving through the sign of Cancer for everyone. This has been extra special for Scorpio because Jupiter has been making a trine, which is the most fabulous aspect in all of astrology during this whole year. People who are later in the sign, your blessings, so we'll say like around 15 degrees, so the middle of the sign, so that'll be like our November 5th people and onward. November 5th through November 10th, you may have been getting some of the Jupiter blessings as well. The rest of you before, you've already gotten the biggest kiss from your Jupiter placements because Jupiter's made the trine already. after the November 5th through 10th, you all are still due for your Jupiter kiss, and that will happen between now and July 1st. Jupiter has been moving through for all this time the sign that it rules, which is Sagittarius, or the house that it rules. So in the Scorpio chart, Cancer is in the 9th house. And so Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Sagittarius rules the 9th house. Okay, so Jupiter's moving through its own house in the Scorpio chart. Nobody else is getting that except you. So that's extra buoyancy, extra optimism. You may notice that you have shifted your perspectives this year. Become more optimistic, become more creative, solutionist. Scorpios can be very positive, of course, but they are definitely realists in many, many ways. You look for depth in things, so you see all things, right? But sometimes that can be a little bit heavy. That can be heavy emotionally, that can be heavy spiritually even. And it can even be heavy physically. So you've been having an opportunity to expand your horizons and to look at things from a broader perspective and to look at things more positively, like the glass is half full. So you've got a little longer there to kind of cement in some of that positivity for this 1 year of 12 years that you get Jupiter in this position. And what else it's doing there specifically for Scorpio is enhancing your education, your understanding, your knowledge. It's been the best time, and May is one of the best times for a long time and will be for a long time to come, of getting into a school program, starting education on something that you want to learn, teaching. If you're a content creator, this could be the best time for your big launch. If you're publishing a book, some of the best energy possible for bringing your life stream or making advancements with publishing and speaking and things like this. What's coming next for Scorpio with Jupiter may already be starting, because Jupiter is going to get into your 10th house of your place out in the world, career, fame, reputation, job, business. So you're about to have a year focus in that area. And something exciting I want to share is that besides Jupiter expanding the things I've already explained, it's already starting to move to your work sector. What I have seen across the board from looking at this for like 23 years is that Jupiter tends to start to influence where it's going 3 months before it gets there. All right, so you're well in the range. If Jupiter's going to get into that 10th house from the whole house perspective for all signs, it will take longer to get to your Placidus chart. But these layers are all still true and happening. That as of April-ish, you're starting to see Jupiter getting into, give signs of forward movement in the work employment place out in the world. If you're not employed or don't want to be employed, your passion projects, your reputation, things involving your father or legacy with your fathers or parental figures, authority figures, you as an authority figure. Something's brewing here, Scorpio friends, and that's happening simultaneously, with a lot more of that to come. And last but not least, we've got, so the date's May 1st, full moon is Scorpio, new moon joining that party in your relationship sector, 26 degrees of Taurus on May 16th, and the blue full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. That is a money moon for you. So your independent or individual income, your autonomy, your finances, your, earned income for you, once in a blue moon chance of expansion of those finances or something important happening. And if you need to launch something involving that, the days around May 31st might be one of the best for a very long time, certainly in a 13 moon cycle. And that's all also pertaining to the Sagittarius levels that we were talking about with where Jupiter's moving for you. So there's multiple ways you're getting the Sagittarius energy with this big highlight at the end of the month. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to anniebclarity.com, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart. That is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Hello, Sagittarius friends. Okay, let's go into the segment through the Sagittarius lens. I'm so excited about this portion. I'm a Sagittarius with you, and there are so many great things for us, including a blue moon in our sign. So exciting, and all kinds of other things to talk about. This is one of Sag's best months of the whole year. So I'm going to get into all of those details. This is for you if Sag is your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, any other Sag placement. This is going to be a piece of your astrological picture. Very late degree Sag friends, so birthdays like December 15th through the rest of the sign or 23 degrees through the rest of the sign. I suggest you Sagicorn, cuspy friends, also listen to my Capricorn report, which you can just, in this timestamped version, just listen all through to the next segment. Okay, now we're going to go into a lot of details. I'm going to give you important dates. If you want to have more dates, like all the best dates of the whole month for launches or anything important, the few salty aspects we have, go in another browser window right now to anniehelpsyou.com, scroll down just a bit and click on Unleash to get your free May written star report. That is written by me, not AI. My moon is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and I am definitely techie. I've had an online business for over 20 years, but I am also old school. So I do my own content, and I'm not relying on robots to do that. So you can get that right up by me with all those great dates. And two more quick things. Thank you for bearing with me through this before we get to the Saggy goodies. Most of the work I do in the world is free. This May Star Report is free. This report you're listening to is free. I do have a couple of paid offerings which help me to have the sustenance I need to be able to continue doing this as I have for almost 15 years every month. All right, so whenever you make a purchase, this helps the whole wheel to keep going. So we're going to talk about some outer planets and what they're doing. If you want to have this personalized to your natal chart, go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie the letter B, clarity.com, and get a deep dive into the outer planet themes that could be in effect for anywhere from 1 to 20 years in your personal chart. So big themes, anniebclarity.com. And if you want to learn astrology, there will always be a place for humans in doing readings. I've seen AI reports. I think they're crappy, honestly, very general. They can't do what humans can do. Maybe at some point they will, but there's no replacing that human connection. When you look at someone's chart and you help them, I can teach you how. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com for my astrology certification course, and get $2,500 worth of free promos when you register for this course now. That is much more than the cost of the course itself. So you can see that at beastropro.com. All right, thank you so much for giving me that time. And now let's get into the Saggy goodies. First, most notable thing that we're going to start with is this massive showing of Aries energy. And of course, we know, or if you don't know, I will tell you, whenever there are fire transits in the sky, that is one of the best times for Sagittarius, because that makes a trine, which is the most favorable aspect in all of astrology for Sag. So long-term placements that we have to be excited about for the long term: Neptune and Saturn, new to Aries, going to be making trines. The earlier people get it first. If you're later in the sign, it will take you a little longer to get the bigger kisses from this, but the whole entire time for years, 3-ish years that Saturn is in Aries, 14-ish years that Neptune is in Aries, there are still constant blessings that come from these movements speaking our language through fire. Long-term, very long-term, Eris, Chiron has been in Aries for many years, is going to be crossing into Taurus soon, but all of this is contributing to the fire party. That's long-term. Short-term, we've got Pallas Athena, strategy. We've got Mars, impetus. We've got Mercury, communication, all going through Aries. This is one of the best months to get stuff done. It's one of the best months of the whole year to make things happen. And it's one of the best times to launch or to bring or to birth something new into the world that you want to be in effect for a long time. These Aries energies are not only making us rowdy, speaking the fire language, giving us inspiration, giving us motivation, helping us break through stuckness and blocks, helping us to blaze forward with all of those direct planets, like I talked about in the intro, which if you haven't listened to that, definitely go back and listen to that. But it's also lighting up our 5th house of Leo, fellow fire energy, which is our excitement. The things I always talk about Leo energy, the things that make us feel like a sunflower, stretching up to the sky with joy, feeling the warmth of what the vibrance, the attention, the recognition, the excitement from just pursuing something that we feel passionate about. That's the energy of Leo. That's the energy of the 5th house. That's the energy that's accentuated through Aries transits for Sagittarius. So, passion projects, things that put you out in center stage, creative projects, theatrical things, singing, dancing, athletics, fashionista stuff, anything that's like bold and buoyant. Bucket list stuff, anything that just gets you the most excited. This is what is being accentuated in the short and long term now. True love also. These long-term outer planets can be making you bring in the true love you've been looking for, or accentuating the true love you've already found. And in the short term, for dating, one of the best months of the entire year for going back to people who you are really wanting things to work with, or new love, new dating, people you've never met before. This is one of your best months possible. Children, wanting to have a child, trying to do great things with the children that you have, or working with children that aren't your own. All of this is being accentuated this month and in the long term. Okay, so I could say a lot more about that and get all worked up, but I just want to point out the double-edged sword of so much Aries. What I'm likening this energy to is, in the winter, I spend time in Alaska and I get to be around wolverines. I do a lot of stuff with animals as one of my side passion projects. But so the wolverines love the snow, and that rowdy Aries energy that you think of, that if you've ever seen a wolverine, they're very Aries-like. So they play and they're diving and chewing on pieces of ice and just so busy and active. And the playing turned to fighting. So all of a sudden it's cute. They're making all these cute sounds, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, they sound like monsters. Are they going to kill each other? That is the double-edged sword of Aries. So even though it's in a good angle for us, even so it's speaking a language we can understand, it's a lot of energy centered around the sign ruled by the god of war, who rules it, Mars, which is also in that sign until May 19th. So just kind of be ready for that play fighting to possibly turn into not playing fighting, and argumentativeness and ego and, just displays of proudness that may or may not be suitable for a situation can definitely come out. So just a word to the wise, hopefully, is sufficient there. Okay, so as the month goes on, we deepen the Taurus story. The Taurus story happening simultaneously is one of the things I love most for Sagittarius about Aries time, because the Taurus energies ground that inspiration into action. Saggis have big vision, and we can be very busy on making our dreams come to life. But Sag moves in an upward spiral. It's a little all over the place. Aries moves in a direct line, forward moving. But Taurus is the grounding force, and it's a grounding force that Saggis really, really, really need, and that we really need in this very uplifting but very overstimulating time of Aries placements. Okay, so the Sun and Ceres will already be in Taurus all month. Mercury will get there early in the month. Mars will get there middle of the month. And this is going to help ground in those long-lasting things that you want to work on. This is a great month for experimenting, short-term, sporadic, maybe a little impulsive. Just be careful that it's not too impulsive or reckless. That's another downside of too much Aries. So, you can just do things for the sake of itself, just for passion and art's sake. But that Taurus energy is calling for you to build. And so you're picking which of those things you love to do are going to be what you're going to build. And you may start something now, birth something now, make progress in something now. That can be a long-term, even lifetime venture. And Taurus will help. So this is grounding the energy into your daily work. Self-employed people, this is amazing for you. People who have jobs, this is amazing for you. New projects at work, exciting progress at work, building something valuable at work. All of this is the storyline. The inspiration turns to action. The action turns to productivity. And as I stated in the intro, this is one of the best times of the whole year for taking action, for forward-moving things that you want to be present in the long term. So you've got no retrogrades to deal with. Pretty much Pluto will start at some point, like I said, but everything else is direct. No shadow periods of personal planets. So if you're wanting to launch something, you're wanting to start a new job, launch a new business, move across the world, any of those big things, big contracts, big sales, big purchases, April, May into June, you've got the best energy of the whole year for that. Okay, 6th house relates to animals and pets, and also your health and wellness regimens. You may be getting super focused on your health and vibrance and fitness and wellness, finding practitioners, which the Gemini placements are going to help with that because they crowd your 7th house of other people. So finding people to help you with your goals for work or for wellness or for whatever it is, the big projects, that's going to be very strong. Gemini Venus is going to bring variety, interest, creative solutions, an upbeat social connection to the things you're trying to do. And of course, long-term Uranus and Sedna are bringing this Gemini vibe where you're looking at all angles, you're getting help from other people, you're getting the support you need to make these things happen. And this is a time to build those webs and to put the boats afloat. So as the Sun moves into Gemini around the 21st, joins Neptune, Sedna, and Venus, and then we're really starting to get a glimpse of Gemini season. And this is going to be very exciting socially. Like I mentioned, this is going to be very good for your relationships. You may have some ambivalence or back and forth or uncertainty from the Gemini, but hopefully the rest of the Taurus and Aries will help you make those decisions in the relationship space that you need to. You can also try things on. Like I said, Gemini is very experimental. This could be a good time to do a trial of something, a trial of moving in with someone, a trial of, separating if you're on that path. But this is a good time to try on some things to see, what they may bring. Okay, so let's talk about the moons, and then we'll talk about our ruler Jupiter. May 1st, we start with a full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio. For Sag, this is in the house of your unconscious mind, the attic of your being, as I like to call it. So some sort of revelation of some sort of magnificent result where you discover something or figure out something, maybe to a health and wellness thing, maybe an answer to what you want to do with your life, maybe a partnership solution. Or maybe it's just personal, an addiction, a fear, something is overcome, a discovery is made about your ancestry, a secret comes out at the beginning of the month. Something important with shared money may also be coming in that short term at that moon, and in the long term with Jupiter moving through the 8th house of Scorpio for Sag. All right, now with that Taurus party that I mentioned, you also have on May 16th the new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus. And of course, one of the most exciting things going on is that we've got the blue full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius on May 31st. That's our moon. It's a blue moon. It's a full moon. And we're going to get one full moon every 13 months, so there are there are three definitions of what a blue moon is. There's the second full moon in a sign, or in this case, it's the second full moon in a calendar month. And then there's an astronomical one where we're not going to get into that right now. But the point is that we get one full moon a year unless it's a blue moon from the second moon of the sign. And this is it. Everything Saggy, teaching, learning, content creation, education, spiritual expansion, breakthroughs, horizons expanding, international business, culture, moves, learning of any kind, publishing, speaking. All of those things are fully accentuated in Sagittarius. That's the story of our lives. We love the diversity of experience, and we love looking at how everything is interconnected and seeing, what's the same and what's different about different cultures and different places. And that sheer joy of exploration. So you may be able to have an adventure around that time, near or far. You may be having a big launch. And this is going to be powerful for all Sages. But if you have something within 10 degrees, if you don't know your chart, you can just search for how to run a free birth chart online. Hint, AI doesn't always run charts correctly. This is another reason why I was talking about the importance, if you want to learn astrology, of doing it with a human. But, you can find reliable places to run charts online. You may have more than one Sag placement. I have 9 Sag placements. And that was pretty much a big shock when I first saw my chart. I was like, what is all that over there? Well, if your sun or any other Sag placement is close to 10 degrees, we'll say 5 to 15 degrees, the closer to 10, the more of a kiss you'll get from this blue moon. The rest of you aren't going to be left out, but you may have something more noticeable happen at this time. Now, 10-degree birthdays are going to be like the first few days of December. So those of you the last few days of November, the first few days of December, you're going to be in the closer range of this. But you may have another placement besides your sun there. Okay, so you can look to see those degrees. But either way, a lot of excitement coming through, all Saggy stuff towards the end of the month, a big infusion. All right, now on the topic of Sag, let's talk about our ruler. Let's talk about how it went direct in March and how that made a huge difference to our optimism, our long-term goals, our feeling of purpose, our feeling of interest and excitement about things, our enthusiasm, our optimism. For 4 months in every 12 months, and sometimes it doesn't fit in a calendar year neatly, it's retrograde. And it's good for many things where we kind of do checks and balances and we kind of pull back some of our extra efforts where we were getting our fingers in too many pudding pies. But we also feel a lack of enthusiasms, delays, just a lot of things being a nuisance. But now it's direct and it's only going to be in Cancer for 2 more months, May and June. July 1st, it's out and it's into fellow fire sign Leo. Super excited about that. We're actually starting to feel that now. I'm going to get into that in a second. But make the most of Jupiter expanding home and family and housing, because we've got 2 months left of that. Extra focus on the psychological, spiritual, emotional wellness of you and your family. Healing the past, healing trauma, looking for tools like brain neurofeedback or NLP or EFT or EMDR. You can look these things up that can really help heal and support with different conditions or situations. And specifically for Sag, Jupiter has been expanding our house of other people's money, legacy, wills, estate planning. This is one of the best months of the whole year to get an estate plan or a will made or get corrections or updates there. Paying off debt, getting loans, one of the best months possible. and deepening your intimate relationships with money and romance. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Jupiter going into Leo now is because I have seen through like 23 years of watching this that at least 3 months before Jupiter gets to where it's going next, we start to feel it there too. It's like this wide orb of energy that starts influencing. Like I like to explain it. If you drive onto a barrier island and that's where the beach is, but you're not on the beach yet, but you start seeing the beach stores and the tiki huts and everything, but you're not on the sand yet, that's kind of like what this is. So you're feeling Jupiter in fire sign Leo, accentuating Sagittarius ninth house. So all those Saggy things I talked about for the full moon at the end of the month, it's just a prelude of what's to come for a whole year and more in your publishing, speaking, content, learning, all of those things you're about to really explore and explode in wonderful ways. So since April, May, June, you may have even started to feel it in March, that is starting to really, really pick up, and in May it gets stronger. So some new beginnings may be occurring here in those arenas of life, and it's very exciting. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie the letter B, Clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work. When you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart. That is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Capricorn friends. All right, so let's drill down into the Capricorn chart and see about the things that I talked about in the intro, how they relate to you specifically. If you haven't already listened to the intro, definitely go back and do that because I'm going to build on what we talked about there. This is for you, for Capricorn Sun, Moon, Rising, any other Cap placement. I have Cap Moon there with you. This is going to be part of your astrological picture, and very late degree Capricorn friends with birthdays like January 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign. Continue listening in this time-stamped version of the video because the Aquarius segment that comes next will also be for you late degree people, and you'll benefit from both readings. All right, so we've got 2 moons in favorable aspects for Capricorn, plus we have a blue moon. Jupiter is blazing forward. We're going to talk about all of this, and we've got a massive amount of action-oriented, motivated, inspired energy, and we are going to talk about where that's particularly focused for you and so much more. So let's just get right into it. The very obvious Aries placements here. So many. Long-term, Neptune, Saturn, new to Aries, will be there for many years. Eris there forever. We'll just count it there as very, very long time. Chiron, been there for years, almost going to be gone. And in the short term, Pallas Athena, Mars until the middle of the month, and Mercury just for the first few days, are all focused in your house of home and family and housing. That means you're entering into a short-term spurt and a long-term build of changes in your inner world, your home, your housing, your family. There's a lot of this energy of freedom, authenticity, and independence coming to your home. So this is in a square for Capricorn. So this is showing some new births, some changes, some things that might not be easy at first, but are the things that have been needing to happen and are the things that you've been wanting to happen. Many of those things will be. Some of you parents may be having kids that are getting ready to go out on their own or, are maturing into that time. And then you may find your new freedom from, and whatever other changes go along, like those kind of changes, something having to do with forward movement in the family. Or maybe you're at the other side of the spectrum. Maybe you're just beginning your family, and this new initiatory energy of Aries is helping you to spark new home, new housing, new family, and anywhere in between. So that is going to be a big focus this month. But the general energy of Aries is a spark to build. Simultaneously, we have a massive amount of Taurus and building throughout the month. Mars will get there May 19th. Mercury will be there early in the month, joining the Sun and Ceres into this space of building. So you've got the spark, you've got the momentum, you've got the drive, you've got the stars going direct, ready to build. And as the planets move into fellow Earth sign Taurus, they are making awesome aspects for Capricorn. And they're lighting up your area of Leo. The Capricorn-Leo area of the chart is lit up by Taurus placements. So you've got this building story of trying to build something with family, with children, trying to build something with your work that is your passion. The fifth house, I always like to call the sunflower house, partly because it's ruled by the sun. Leo's ruled by the sun. And also because that energy of the strong stalk of the sunflower reaching up toward the warmth of the sun, that's like the energy of limelight. It's the energy of sustenance. It's the energy of passion projects, of romance. This fifth house is a romance. And of course, children and other creative babies that aren't children. So, you've got this impetus that's coming from healing and changes within your home and family that's moving into this development of continuing either the same or more autonomy in your creative purpose. These are great true love aspects. This is one of the best months of the whole year for dating and for deepening the relationships that you already have. Okay, so plus side of all the Aries energy is that it brings a lot of inspiration and motivation. The other side of it is it can bring arguments and fighting. And remember, this is in home and family. So the little energetic example that I'm using this month for all of the Aries energy is wolverines playing. I have an opportunity in the winter to see wolverines in the snow, which is very exciting for me. That's one of my side passion projects, is working with animals. But in any case, wolverines love the snow and they play a lot. One of the most playful animals I've ever seen. And sometimes when they're playing, it turns into fighting. And that is what Aries is like. You're play fighting, and all of a sudden it's an actual real fight. Because the agitation, of excitement, of motivation can very easily bubble over to aggravation and, and arguments. And Mars, which rules Aries, is in its own sign for at least more than half the month. So there's just this extra, it's great for doing stuff and making things happen. And this is one of the best months to make something happen. And you're not going to get a better time than April 10th through June 12th, or that time frame that I gave you in the intro, with May having extra energy because of the lingering Aries energies, because of the Taurus building energies. So that one window that we have later in the year that's free from personal planet retrogrades and the shadow periods is not going to have the same type of initiatory force. Okay, so you want to make the most of this. Some other things that are being highlighted for you. Oh, well, let me just give you a couple of examples. Maybe you're wanting to launch your side business or your side passion, or maybe you're wanting to get into theater, or maybe you're wanting to do something where you're going to be seen or lead more, or something involving children. This month could be one of the best months for launching, okay? This period of time, either for business or for pleasure. Your bucket list. 5th house is also I call a bucket list house. So if there's something you've always wanted to do, it may actually happen this month, or you may be making solid commitments and plans this month for it to happen in the future. Along with Mercury, the Sun, Ceres, and Mars, in the middle of the month, May 16th, we have the new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus. So new beginnings in these arenas. The month starts out with Uranus freshly in Gemini for a long period of time now, around 7 years. Sedna, very long term when I'm going to talk about that, just going to be there for a while. Venus just blasting through. The Sun will get there May 21st. Ceres will get there. Mercury will actually also get there. So as the month progresses, we're moving from this energy of spark into building and long-term focus to more fun and playfulness and experimentation and travel and, communication and social things. So there's a lot going on this month, and it progresses through these 3 basic signs that are highlighting these 3 major areas for you. So the Aries, Taurus, Gemini energies for Capricorn highlight the 4th house of home and family, the 5th house of love, romance, children, your bucket list, your passions, and the 6th house of health and wellness. Also pets and animals, and also your daily routines, diet, wellness, practitioners for these things, your commitments to whatever you're doing. This is a fantastic time to look into wellness things. Health and wellness, 6th house. Aries also rules the physical body. Specifically, Aries rules the neurological system, headaches, maybe a mineral deficiency, could be a tumor. Big range there. Could need just some supplements or could need something very major. This could be a great time to find out what it is that's going on. If you've had, recurring head or neurological symptoms, there's a lot of clarity in the stars now for trying to get to the bottom of what is going on and what you need, and for taking care of it. If there's something that needs to be dealt with, this month is full of great things. As I talked about in the intro, we have double the sweet aspects this month compared to salty. Barely any salty aspects. This is one of the more free and clear months from general nuisances and big nuisances, where out of the eclipse, roaring, it's just overall a good time to try to make headway in anything in your life, and anything you've been avoiding, any place you've been stuck. Use this energy now to take action and to make commitments. This is one of the best months possible for commitments, although the Gemini energy, as it strengthens, is really good for experimenting and just lighthearted, trying things on as well. Jupiter started blazing forward in the sign of Cancer in March, only has until the end of June to be in the sign of Cancer. So collectively, we've all had Jupiter's expansive focus on home and family since the June of 2025. It's a year process, from the middle of last year to the middle of this year. Capricorn has other layers of home and family, as we discussed through the Aries short and long-term placements. But there's 2 more months to try to get to the bottom of some serious patterns, ancestral patterns. And I'm not saying you can't do it if you don't do it after these 2 months. I'm just saying you've got Jupiter's blessings and expansion there moving forward, where you can really make some headway. So look into these modalities, which you can look up: EMDR, EFT, NLP, brain neurofeedback. I'm not diagnosing or prescribing or treating anything. These may not be appropriate for you, and you need to check for your situation with the qualified practitioners. But I want to open you up to the possibility that something psychological can help with autism, with ADHD. Brain neurofeedback has been known to be very helpful for both of those and things like that. So things that your family needs psychologically, things that your family needs emotionally, things that you need psychologically or emotionally to get your rhythms set and to be your best self. Jupiter is wanting to help you in those arenas. Jupiter also, specifically for Capricorn, is expanding your relationships. So you've had an extra chance to have your relationships blossom, expand, find new people that you need to help you with things and to help other people with things. It's a wonderful time to improve your networks, expand your networks, and to go deeper in with the people that you already know and love. Okay, so we have multiple levels of the social aspect of this month. Talked about how the Gemini placements will bring that. The 7th house is also a partnership house, so, it will be social in the way of interacting with others. Then, in the beginning of the month, May 1st, the days around that time, we've got this full moon at 11 degrees of Scorpio, highlighting your house of Aquarius, which is friendships and groups and teams and networking. So, and also online dating for those of you who are interested in that. It can also rule dating that's initiated by a friend or an acquaintance. So if someone has been trying to tell you to meet somebody and your intuition says, okay, it's okay, this could be a time when networking for anything between romance and business, your big projects, fun, networking is a huge piece, and there's a big boost at the beginning of the month to find your tribe. Okay, so now at the end of the month, May 31st, we've got a blue full moon at 10 degrees of Sagittarius. There are 3 different definitions of a blue moon. One is the second full moon in a sign. This particular blue moon is the second blue moon in a calendar month, or second full moon in a calendar month, because May 1st was the full moon in Scorpio, May 31st is the full moon in Sag. This is highlighting the attic of Capricorn's being. So some sort of personal or spiritual awakening, some sort of remembrance of some inner truth that helps to expand your life and bring optimism, some healing of negativity or fear, because Sagittarius is optimistic, and this is a once in a blue moon chance to heal an addiction, to access some genius within yourself, and to utilize the power of your subconscious mind for your expansion and joy. That full moon towards the end of the month can also have extra good energy for anything Sagittarius, teaching, learning, books, publishing, speaking, travel, international business, different languages. So you may launch content at that time. That would be amazing. You may start a perfect course for you, or go back to one that is something you've been wanting to study. You may, commit to something, immigration, or something big that has to do with, very broadened horizons. Now, just a spark of something to come that's starting already, that's going to develop over a year, is Jupiter. We already talked about it in the 7th house in Cancer, but it's heading to Leo. And I've seen after 23 years of watching this, that Jupiter, at least 3 months, sometimes more, before it gets into a new sign, a new house, will start to give some sparkles in that area, even though it's not there yet. So you're going to have over a year of expansion of your shared resources, your winnings, your earnings, your taxes, topics of debt. If you're wanting to get a loan, if you're wanting to invest, you've got good energy around that starting already. Getting your estate in order, winning money. I don't endorse gambling. I think it can be very, very, very destructive. But if you have $1 and I don't know how much lotto tickets cost, if you have a couple of dollars and you're not going to miss it, and you have a hunch this could be a time, that's accentuated for a long period of time, where something can come in from the ethers, other people's money dropped in your lap, other resources dropped in your lap, and deep emotional, intimate connections and development, as well as psychological and spiritual growth. So it will officially get there in July, but you're starting to feel it in both places now, where it is and where it's going. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things the few salty aspects we have. You can get that all there at anniehelpsyou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to anniebclarity.com, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hello, Aquarius friends. All right, so let's do our deep dive into the Aquarius viewpoint for the May astrology. If you haven't already listened to the intro, definitely do that first because there are so many important things there that I will build upon in this Aquarius specific report. We've got 2 full moons, including a blue moon, a new moon. Jupiter is racing forward, and we've got some specific areas of life that are being focused on for Aquarius. This is for you if Aquarius is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Aquarius placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Aquarius friends, so birthdays like February 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree Aquarius placements through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Pisces report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. And in the time-stamped version of my horoscopes, like we have this month, you can just listen to the segment that follows this one. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to talk about some important dates. And of course, remember that if you want my full list of sweet and salty dates, the best dates of the month, the most challenging dates of the month, and a written report that I personally write. I do all of my own work, no AI. You can go to anniehelpsyou.com in another browser right now and click on Unleash. I also have $2,500 worth of free promos when you register for my astrology certification course at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. So the promos you get are much more than the course even costs itself. All right, so let's start with the most obvious here, which is all of this Aries energy. We'll talk about the general implications and where this is specifically for Aquarius. All right, so we've already built the picture that this is a month to make things happen. This is a month with a ton of fire. There's some long-term fire that is working in a beautiful angle for Aquarius. Neptune and Saturn newly there. Chiron there for a long time. Aries there, of course, for a very, very long time. And these are working in 60-degree angles to give you long-term opportunities that involve ambition, autonomy, authenticity, inspiration, motivation, and focus on forward movement. So this is a long-term theme that's being further accentuated this month by the quicker movements of Pallas Athena, Mars, which rules Aries, and Mercury blazing through Aries. Again, bringing these short-term opportunities for getting some important things done and getting some important things together and getting you out of a funk, getting you from being stuck and helping you to do the things that need to be done and that you want to do. All of this Aries energy, I'm using the example of Wolverines playing to understand the dual edge of the Aries nature when we're looking at so much of this Aries energy. I get a chance to watch Wolverines periodically. That's one of my side things that I do, is doing stuff with animals. But in any case, the Wolverines play and play and play, and in the snow, they're so much fun, and they're wrestling, and they're eating ice, frozen ice like it's a bone, and they're just very entertaining and very exuberant, which is a hallmark of Aries energy. Sometimes they play fight with their little animal, monster sounds that turn into what seems like a real fight, and you start to get worried, like, are they going to eat each other alive? So that Aries energy that can be playful and fun and sparked and, inspired can roll over into agitation, arguments, and worse, as well. So there's a lot of argumentative energy, a lot of ego can also be coming up. So it's just something to be aware of. Specifically for Aquarius, all of this Aries energy is instigating the best and the worst, but still in a good angle in the house of communication and devices. So phones, computers, transportation, so cars and bikes and boats or whatever else, and your siblings, your aunts, your uncles, many of your relatives are in this space. So there's this very big long and short-term focus in these arenas of life where things are happening here. There's motivation to excel. Maybe you're working with one of these people on a project. Maybe you're trying to heal something. Maybe you're arguing with them. Whatever it is, there's a lot of activity in that sector of the chart. Starting from the beginning of the month and getting deeper as the month progresses, we've got a strong Taurus energy as well. The sun is already there. Ceres is already there. First few days of the month, Mercury gets there. May 19th, Mars gets there. And for Aquarius, all of this is lighting up your house of home and family and housing and your inner world. A storyline that Jupiter, being in the sign of Cancer, which rules the fourth house since June of 2025, has been having kind of like a long-term set of themes in those arenas. Now you've got a short-term set of themes. And this is in an angle that is more of a pressure point. The square. The square is the pressure it takes to make a rock a diamond. The square is the pressure it takes to birth something, those growing or birthing pains. And so you're going through something, you're building something. Taurus is a great builder. And so the spark of motivation and inspiration of Aries is bubbling over into this active production, this creation, this building something. And as I talked about in the intro, you may be building something really, really, really long term. And it's very exciting at this time because if you've had a big project, if you've had something you're trying to move forward with, or even if it's something small, this month is perfectly fine for small things and experimenting. We've got a lot of nice experimental Gemini energy. We'll get into that. But the things that you build that last, that may take a while, but, will last a long time, those kind of things are happening. And that is centered around your financial security and autonomy. It's centered specifically for Aquarius around your home and family and housing. So you're building something that lasts in your inner world of your emotions and your outer world of your family and your houses. And this relates to real estate as well. So you may see some notable things happen here. If you want to purchase or sell real estate or land, this is amazing for that. If you want to work from home or do some kind of home-based business or something that relates to homes, this is amazing for that. If you're trying to move or do anything, add an expansion, this is one of the best times for construction or adding an addition or doing repairs or anything where you need people to do what they're going to do. When we have retrogrades, it's very difficult to try to get people to do anything or show up for what they promise. And most of the year is going to be, after June 12th or so, most of the year is going to be in retrograde of some sort or another, or the shadow periods of the personal planets or whatever. So you've got this shining moment. If you really need to get stuff done, jump on it. That is the theme of this month. Make things happen, because You'll have more opportunity to blast through obstacles. People will be more motivated to show up for their own reasons, and that can feed into you having them show up for your reasons. So this is a really great time to get things done, and it may be harder to do that at some later point. As the month progresses, May 21st, the sun will get into Gemini, Ceres will move, Mercury will get there to join Venus already there. These are short-term planets moving through the sign of Gemini and through Aquarius's fifth house. We'll talk about that in a second. Joining the long-term new energy there of Uranus and very long-term Sedna energy. So a lot of spark of change is occurring in your house of true love, in your house of romance, in your house of children, in your house of your things that you love to do, your fun projects, your hobbies, your passions, things like that. A lot of good energy there. And you may be experimenting because for Aquarius, you have Gemini energy there. And that's one of the great experimenters. And of course, we know Aquarius energy is like that as well. All of the Gemini transits are going to make trines for your Aquarius placement. So this is a beautiful, harmonious, speaking your language, airy, intellectual, social, abundance that is occurring, like a cornucopia of social opportunities. And this is beautiful and this is really exciting. So you'll feel this as the month progresses. So maybe you'll be super motivated, you'll get your stuff done, you'll make your long-lasting things, and then you'll take off to have some fun or do it in any other order than that, because all these energies will be present all month. You may have some variety in love. If you're looking for love, this is an amazing time for dating. If you have love already, it's an amazing time to add fun back into your relationship. So this is, really, really exciting and harmonious. And it's going to be a theme that will continue into June. Writing and teaching and speaking and editing and things that are very Gemini Sag are going to be aspected this month from the Gemini transits, and also that full moon, the blue moon on May 31st at 10 degrees of Sag. So the 5th house and 11th house are little polarity partners. We can see the duality intrinsic in the human experience by looking at the astrology wheel. All the 12 signs are put on a wheel, which makes them each have opposites, opposing and complementary signs. Leo and Aquarius are opposing and complementary signs, and these are the houses that are activated for Aquarius by the Gemini and Sagittarius movements. So between the Gemini transits and the Sag full moon at the end of the month, you've got the Leo Aquarius polarity aspected. And this is groups and friends, again, more social stuff, teamwork, your tribe, can be internet-based things, social media, community-based projects. All of those are extra accentuated in the days around the full moon on May 31st at 10 degrees of Sag. And that's, again, in a great angle for you. All of you can get the goodies from that. But those of you who are more like the last few days of January, the first few days of February, are more likely to get even more of a kiss from that blue moon. And for all of you, you can have once-in-a-lifetime opportunities that come into the house of Aquarius, which is your ruling energy, with the teams and your tribe and internet-based things and futuristic things. And also through the lens of Sagittarius, which is the teacher, the learner, the creator of content, the speaker, the publisher, the writer. So there's a lot of expression energy that's happening this month for Aquarius, and merging your passions with groups to get your work out to have more power through interested people and also through other people doing the same thing that can share, multiply your efforts. We start the first of the month with a Scorpio full moon, and that's fullness, completion, fruition, drama, coming to some kind of close personal financial matter or romantic intimate matter. Specifically for Aquarius, that's lighting up your 10th house of work, career, employment, father figures, authority figures, your place out in the world, business. If you don't work or don't need a job, this is still your public face, what you out in the world, your services you do, public service, just how people know you and what you're doing in the world. And this could have to do with, one of your parents. Something could be notable there, something to work out. They may need your help, or you may need theirs, or you may have some sort of meaningful interaction. Remember that this is a full moon, so it does bring high emotions, just like the blue moon at the end of the month. But the one right here at the beginning of the month is, much more emotional because it's a water-based, very intense Scorpio sign. So mysteries and money and, synchronistic spiritual and psychological things are occurring at this time and coming to light. This is a little bit of a tough angle for Aquarius placements, so you may feel this. You might want to schedule a little time in the first days of the month just to kind of get your bearing straight around what may go on. But at bare minimum, it's like a dog shaking off water. I always think of water as the emotion, the energy of motion. And when you think of a dog that's wet, when they shake the water off, that's what happens at the full moon. And it really, really happens at a water full moon. So we build up this energy, this emotion in our field every, moon cycle. And then the full moon is the time to release it, which sometimes results in insomnia, weird dreams, but at bare minimum, just kind of like an emotional intensity that's kind of buzzing around you. So you will be feeling that for sure. Now, coupled with that energy in the home and housing area of the chart, the fourth house, where Taurus is for you, besides having the Sun and Ceres and Mercury and Mars there's also the new moon at 26 degrees of Taurus on May 16th. So new beginnings in those arenas can come from that placement. So as Jupiter moved forward in March, it started really moving forward with the home and family and housing things. So besides the short-term transits from the Taurus placements that we talked about, Jupiter really being rowdy and going direct here in Cancer just for a couple more months, May and June. July 1st, it switches to Leo. That's a whole different story. We've got a couple more months of this expansion story in your home and family. Maybe you moved to a bigger house and got more freedom that way. Maybe you have a lower mortgage because you've downsized. Jupiter is looking to give you more freedom in your home and family, and that can happen in many different ways. It's also seeking to expand. So you may have taken on some in-laws where your family's gotten bigger, or roommates where your household's gotten bigger. But something is going on the topics of freedom and expansion in home and family. For 2 more months from the whole house chart, and that is, well, actually, really just for 2 whole months period, because once Jupiter gets out of Cancer, it's going to move into the Leo energy, which has already started and coincides at the same time. So you're stepping into a couple of years of massive relationship expansion, and you may start feeling that now from Jupiter getting close to the 7th house, and that will continue and it gets into the 8th house, and it's a year cycle each. So right now, for these next couple of months, the thing to focus on with Jupiter is your health, your wellness, stress management, the organization of your space, the emotional soundness of your space and security of your space, getting things squared away with your home and family's psychological and emotional space, as well as your own, tending to pets and animals, getting some, good structures with your diet and your wellness and your self-care. Could be an awesome time to get symptoms checked out. With all these clear and forward-moving stars, you may get the answers to some mysteries that have been going on. Neurological things and other things involving the head is ruled by Aries. Taurus rules the thyroid and the neck. Gemini rules the respiratory tract and the hands and wrists and arms. So those particular areas may be squeaking for some attention, or any other symptoms you have. Jupiter here may help you solve the mysteries and to heal profoundly. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart, and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie, the letter B, Clarity.com, And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even, so you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye. Okay, Pisces friends, let's do our deep dive into the Pisces specific chart. Hopefully you've listened to the intro already, which has laid the groundwork for everything we're going to discuss. And now we'll talk about where the Aries and the Taurus and the Gemini transits that are dominating this month will fall in the Pisces chart. This is for Pisces sun, moon, rising, or any other Pisces placement you're listening for. What we're going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Pisces friends, so birthdays like March 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Aries report, which is timestamped right at back towards the beginning of this, bulk horoscope, big mega video, because you late degree friends will benefit from both readings. Okay, so I'm going to give you some important dates. Do know that if you don't want to write them down, you want them already written, plus you want all the sweet and salty dates of the month, grab your free May star report at anniehelpsyou.com. You can go into another browser right now, go there, scroll down a bit, click on Unleash, and get that report. I only send out 2 very packed newsletters a month that I write myself, no AI here. And you will get everything that you need to make the most of the starry possibilities. Okay, and it will be a good adjunct to what we're going to talk about here. So let's start with the most obvious, the thing that's dominating most clearly is the Aries energy. As I talked about in the intro, this April, March into April Aries time is extending very deeply in a short-term way into May, and we've got long-term placements. Neptune, Saturn, newly in Aries. Chiron, been there a while, going to be getting out soon. Eris there for a very, very long time. But then we have this new Pallas Athena, Mars, which rules Aries, and Mercury for a few days longer in May in Aries, bringing motivation and inspiration and impetus. This is a month when you've got free reign to do what you need to do, and this is a time to get things done. Of course, all the fire, as I always describe it, puts a flame under your watery pot, could stir the emotions, for better and worse, could, make you really ready to make change, and that is a very exciting thing. Something to know about Pisces is that it's a mutable sign. It goes in a spiral, and it spirals down. So you're very, very introspective and reflective from the nature of this energy, but it is a little bit scattered. This Aries energy is different in that it's cardinal, it's in one direction, and it's movement based. So if you get spun out and lost in your own emotional process, or with too many options, or with overthinking things or overfeeling things, this is a time when these emotions can be a catalyst for a certain direction. So definitely utilize it for that, because it's a gift that we have extra of at this time of year. It is extending a little bit longer than it usually does because of that Mars transit and because of the Mercury retrograde kind of delayed the movement away from there. And April, May, a little bit into June, this is the time we've got to try to weave all those webs and cast our boats as far as possible, because it will be a very retrograde rest of the year, except for one small pocket. So, which is fine. There are many wonderful things that can be done in retrogrades. And of course, we can do everything at any time, whatever we have to do. But if you want extra energy of moving forward, this is your time. Specifically, where is all of this exuberance blossoming for Pisces? In your money sector. You may notice that every year around March, April, sometimes into May, you get rowdy about your money. Maybe you get super motivated to improve your financial circumstances. Maybe you get excited and get ready to buy some stuff. Maybe you get planting, get into the earth, and you hit Taurus that way. Taurus rules the second house. We also have planets moving through the sign of Taurus. So you're getting like extra Taurian energy at this time. So when the Aries placements move with the Taurus placements, it moves spark into action, into productivity, into manifestation. So it's very exciting, and it can be very financially and materially fruitful. Something to know about the Aries energy, I'm using this example at this time, is I have an opportunity to watch Wolverines. Part of my side fun projects involves animals. And so I spend a lot of time around all kinds of different animals. And this past winter, I was spending a lot of time with Wolverines, and I'm just thinking back to them, thinking about this energy now. They love playing in the snow. They, love wrestling. They make funny noises. They sound like little monsters, and they're playing until it sounds like they're not. And this is the kind of double-edged sword we have with Aries energy. It's playful. It's exuberant. It's childlike. Could switch over into childish, ego-based, impulsive, reckless, angry. With Mars, the god of war that rules it, taking this motivation and inspiration sometimes and spilling it over into agitation and arguments, or worse. This can be very combative energy. So, just kind of watch out for keeping it in the inspiration and productive, moving forward, rather than all of it bubbling into unproductive arguments or ego conflicts. Okay, so starting from the beginning of the month, we've got the Sun and Ceres. Very early in the month, Mercury joins in Taurus, where those are May 19th. Mars will get there. May 16th, we've got the new moon in Taurus. So, we do have a Taurus party. And as I said, Aries is already accentuating the Taurus house for Pisces. So you guys get double duty. But just in the stars, we've got a building time. This is a time for building something that lasts, for taking steps, or for accomplishing something. Maybe you've been building for a long time and your fruition or your final product is coming now. But something important is happening from building, from a long-lasting perspective and a stability perspective. You're seeking this stability and you're taking the time to build this stability. Some of the areas you may be focusing on have to do with third house, which is stabilizing your communication patterns, getting good devices that, will help you to be in communication with people, updating your internet service, things that help keep you in communication with other people. This is also the house of many of your relatives, like aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, and some of the other random relatives. And your home, like kids, parents, are also going to be accentuated at this time from the Gemini transit. So between all of these things, you've got every family member pretty much in the forefront. So it is a very family-based time. The fact that this is accentuating the third house that's ruled by Gemini, and the fact that we have Gemini transits, short and long, are really pointing to this being very social, this very much having to do with communicating with other people, interacting, and mobility. That's where the transportation comes in. If you have to buy a new car, buy a new device, this is one of the best months of the whole year. So you may also be able to get an extra boost for financing for one of these things in the days around May 1st with that full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is other people's money. It's loans, it's credit, it's debt, it's borrowing, it's shared resources. So you may get access to one of these things through the help of a loan or a gift or something else, or even winnings or sweepstakes or, inheritances. So all of those Scorpio-based things will be highlighted at the beginning of the month. And that's in fellow water sign for Pisces. So all of you can get some of those goodies, but those of you who are like at the end of February, we'll say the last few days of February, the first few days of March, you all may get extra kisses from this full moon at the beginning of the month. And for all of you, what this is going to accentuate is the 9th house of Sagittarius. So we've got the full moon in Scorpio at the beginning of the month, highlighting the energy of Sagittarius, and the blue moon at 10 degrees of Sag at the end of the month, highlighting Sagittarius. So you've got these bookends of Saggy adventure, excitement, exploration. Also can be enthusiastic like Aries, the fellow fire sign. Language, teaching, learning, editing, speaking, publishing. If you want to publish your lifetime book that you've been wanting to do, this is great for writing it or making headway or finding, someone to help you with that. Content creation, taking a course, finding a perfect course. All of these things are great. Teaching, learning, taking in information, putting it out, all very strongly aspected for Pisces this month, especially at those bookends at the beginning and the end of the month. A blue moon can sometimes bring, once in a blue moon, opportunities. So you can look out for that in those arenas. There are many different definitions of a blue moon. There are actually 3 that I know of. One of them is the second full moon in a sign. The second is a second full moon in a calendar month, which is this full moon. And then we've got another astronomical definition. But in any case, there are many different ways this once in a blue moon opportunity can come, but it is still more rare, and it is happening now. Jupiter is blazing forward in fellow water sign, doing 2 more months in Cancer before it moves into Leo in July. So you've got a couple of months left of expanding home, family, housing. You've got that short-term energy of the sun on the 21st. Ceres will move. Mercury will get there. Venus is already there. Short-term transits plus long-term Uranus and Sedna through your 4th house of home. Plus you've got Jupiter moving through the sign of the 4th house, which rules that house where the Gemini placements are for you. So you can see there's a lot of energy coming from different directions for Pisces, having to do with the expansion of the revitalizing change in the, sudden things to tend to in home and family for the short and the long term. There may be things in your psychological space through ancestry or programming or, nature, nurture, things that you're trying to heal, patterns coming up, and having all of this focus there can really help you to make some psychological and spiritual headway for that important development. So since June 2025, Jupiter has been accentuating your 5th house of Leo. That's specific to Pisces. That's where Cancer is for Pisces. And this is your true love house. So this is one of the best years in 12 or 13 years for you to find your true love. And it's not over yet. From the whole house perspective, everybody still has 2 months left. From the Placidus house perspective, the later you are in the Pisces sign, the longer this will linger in this area. So, this finding your special person or expanding the love with the person you have can be how this manifests. Also involving children. If you're wanting to have a child, having fertility things go on. This month is amazing to make headway there. In vitro, these kind of important steps are way more complex for timing than I can really give you in a general report. But from the general transits, this is a really great month for things like that. And because Uranus is now in your 4th house of home, having surprises in your home and family that come all of a sudden, either through a surprise child or a surprise grandkid or something like that. There is kind of that revitalizing energy there of things happening all of a sudden. So if that's what you're hoping for, you've got a lot of good lines of energy there. This is also the things you love to do, the things that make you blossom like a sunflower. Leo rules the sun. Leo rules the 5th house. The sun rules the 5th house. It makes me think of sunflowers whenever I think of the 5th house. So anything that makes you feel standing strong, raising to the sun like a sunflower, like your hobbies and your passions and your pleasures and your bucket list stuff, all of that is accentuated at this time, and you've got all of that Aries movement to help you do something with it and to make things happen. This is definitely a month to try to make things happen in a year where a lot of it we're going to be spending on the shore waiting for things to come in to deal with. This is not that month, and you want to take full advantage of this month because most months are not going to be like this. We've got a little bit more into June, then a random pocket of time later in the year, which, by the way, if you want to get more insight on that, when you go to anniehelpsyou.com, not on the Unleash square, but next to it, you can see about my secret star portal. I do have the 2026 whole storyline if you want to look into that later, last open period of the year there. You can find it in the secret star portal. But in any case, this is a catalyst to take advantage of this now. If there's something you were putting off to try to make happen later in the year, you have to trust your intuition with it, but the odds are increased that things are going to be getting in the way as the month, as the year moves on. So if you've got any impetus, take advantage of it now. Now, where Jupiter's going next, and we'll be talking about this much more over the next upcoming months and the upcoming year. Jupiter's heading into Leo. This accentuates the 6th house of health and wellness for Pisces. So if you've had an ongoing issue with your health, this month could be a great month for diagnostics. Aries rules neurological things, the head, the brain, the eyes. Taurus rules thyroid, neck. Gemini rules respiratory tract, hands, arms, wrists. You may be able to get good insight into a medical malady, and you've got Jupiter in a long-term way getting ready to back it up for long-term focus on your health and wellness. So, if you're a Pisces who hasn't been well, you've got support present and coming. I've noticed that at least 3 months before Jupiter moves into a location, it starts acting in both places. So all the things I talked about with the 5th house in Cancer, it's going on there, but it's simultaneously starting to get into Leo, get into this health, wellness, pets and animals, time. If you're looking to have a pet and give it a forever home, this month is one of your best months of the whole year as well. So, and that lasts into a little bit into June too. So yeah, really, really good time to be working with those energies. Even though it's not quite there yet visibly, it is also there energetically besides where it is now. So you're feeling that expansion in your daily experience and more freedom in your daily experience, or more focus on, lifestyle things, diet, wellness, pets, etc. Okay, so I've given you important dates for this month. If you want more of that, go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, click on Unleash, grab your free written star report for May. I only send out 2 newsletters a month and a very occasional promo, so you will not get too much email from me in your inbox. And you can better prepare yourself with the sweetest dates of the month, especially if you're wanting to try to do some important things. The few salty aspects we have, you can get that all there at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Click on Unleash. You just have to scroll down a little bit to find Unleash. If you want to know what all the outer planets are doing, we've had recent changes to Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, and Jupiter will be changing soon. If you want to know what all of that means for you in your chart, and you value my input, because all the stuff I make is made by me, not AI, you can go to AnnieBClarity.com, Annie the letter B, Clarity.com. And remember that when you make any purchase through me, that facilitates me continuing to do these for free in a time when AI is cutting into everything human made. It's very supportive to me and my work when you do utilize the paid resources that I have. So thank you for your consideration of that. Now, if you want to learn astrology, I feel like there will always be a place for humans. There is a space that occurs between people having their chart read and someone reading their chart that is such a space of intimacy. You can see years, lifetimes even, of information in one glance in a chart. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, you want to connect with people that way, help them to make decisions, help them to live in their highest expression. Astrologers are irreplaceable for this type of work. Go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, and see my astrology certification course. And right now I've got around $2,500 worth of promos when you purchase this course, and this course is nowhere near that much even. So you get promos well beyond the cost even of this course. And there are payment plans available as well. So you can see all of that at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you're moving on to listen to another sign now for your rising, your sun, or your moon, then you can just use the timestamps and you will see this message again, because I've put it in for all of the signs just in case someone only watches for one sign. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.